Peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural, divine heirs. Today is December the 10th, 2023 on the ancient moon calendar, 2024 on the ancient sun calendar. All rise and stand and remain standing into perpetuity. And according to the ancient Noahide laws as stated by this Holy Congress, this is a sovereign, living ancient Article 3, Moorish American Al-Moroccan Universal Court action. I am Sovereign Living Justice, Pauline Denise Ritchie, and my free chosen sovereign appellation is Light Tajiri Bay. All are in capitis diminution nolo, in red ink, in propria persona sui juris, in proprio solo, and in proprio redes. We are capite et corpus juris legalis, which is our statement that we are the lawful and legal natural head and body for our empire. All Moors are the divine, original, indigenous, sovereign, ancient, Al-Moroccan, Moorish American ascendants of the great pharaohs of Kemet and of the ancient Moabites, Canaanites, Israelites, Hamathites, Cushites, and Hittites. Our full faith and trust, our allegiance, our credit, and our energy are hereby vested in ourselves, for we are the people who are the original, indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient, Islamic, Muslim Empire State for Morocco. We're the de jure Moorish National Republic federal government. We're ancient Washington District for Columbia. We're the Universal Moorish American Consulate and the Earth-wide Article 3 Moorish American Consort Court. Just one moment. Okay. Today we are exercising the law by our sovereign status, which is the original, indigenous, natural, divine, sovereign, ancient Article 3, living United States District for Columbia Court, and we're the sovereign fiduciaries, original creditors, executors, trustees, divine ministers, possessors, and title trustors for all causes for action. We are peace. We are one nation, one state, one empire, and one God. We hereby recognize ourselves and accept our sovereign ascension. We do hereby possess in our custody all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. We, the one true living God nation, are not at war. We hereby exercise all divine, eternal, ancient, original sovereign rights at this time and at all points in time, nunc pro tunc. The processes and principles and laws that we share are not just our opinion, they are the law. We have removed all dead actors from our minds, thereby freeing ourselves from presumed foreign bondage and enacted psychological operations. Along with our sovereign, powerful demonstrations and study, these laws and processes that we share are based on principles of stare decisis, res judicata, ancient positive supreme law for the land long established in sovereign order. Erudite principles and processes for daily practical application to intelligently govern our vast estate every day is what our ancestors have given us to share with the ancient sovereign nations, tribes, clans, states, and governments at earth. For this, we are grateful. Islam. So let us, just one moment. The first thing we want to do, again, and we'll be doing this all Holy Day season, is to, we want to congratulate and say happy, holy Christo Mas to the matriarchs, for whom this time of winter solstice has been given in honor of. With that being stated, and also Happy Holy Cristo Mas. Mas in Spanish means more, and we spell it Moors. So we celebrated December 21st, which is the winter solstice. Happy Holy Christ Mother Day, Islam. I have a couple of questions for this Holy Congress. The questions, hopefully you can see them on the screen. Are you able to see the questions on the screen?
Yes, Islam, we are.
Okay, Islam. Thank you, Islam. So the first question that I have, because we keep coming across information that is just mind-blowing, amazing. Why was everyone so excited to come to America? Does anyone have an answer to that question? Why was everyone, what could they see either in the law or something? What was it that they saw that told everyone, no matter where they were, that, hey, let's go over there because we can rule over there. We can dominate over there in our enactment. What was it that everyone was so excited about to come to, quote unquote, America? Islam.
Well, I mean, you pretty much just stated it. That was, they had the opportunity to come for a new opportunity and it was a sense of freedom from the oppressor, quote unquote, for their old so-called enactment of a government, because at every territory at Gaia, the people are the government. So when they came here, it was essentially a new clean slate of what appeared to be government, so they could have some type of, self-governing before it got to where it is now. They could own their own stuff and be their own, governor for how they desired to do things, and that was exciting. That was a breath of fresh air, as they say, and so that's why a lot of people came to the Americas, from my perspective, because they could partake of an enactment of something that was different. It was free. It was invigorating. It gave life to them. And though the process of that really wasn't any different from the old government, because they still had unfair working conditions and living quarters and unfair wages and all that. So the location was different, the atmosphere was different, everything was different. So from that perspective, it was freedom, Islam.
You say the location was different. What do you mean?
Geographically, being that this is Turtle Island and Mexham and all the energy centers that are here and the ancient pyramids and all that good stuff. So they were hidden, and the conscious, subconscious. It was a drawing to that as well, because sometimes people do things unknowing their true reasons why they do it, but when they come later on down to the knowledge of knowing this is the reason, they go, oh, that's why I had that infinity of deep desire to do this. Never knew why, but I just had this deep infinity of reasoning for wanting to do this, and now I see later on why I did that, something like that. Islam.
Yeah. Islam. Okay.
It depends.
Empress Cynthia and then Justice Howard, because I heard Empress Cynthia first and then Justice Howard. And then there's another Empress as well.
Thank you, Justice. There was also the promise of quick riches because there was a gold rush here, and it's still happening today. So, yeah, I just wanted to mention the gold rush. Islam.
Islam. Noble Howard.
Yeah. Islam to all, and peace to all. She took it right out of my head. That was exactly what I was going to say. The propaganda, the gold rush, and the land, because that was the two main that they used to draw the people from Europe and elsewhere here, and also to the historical part. The other nations on the planet have always known this was called the land of milk and honey, and many of them had also known that this is the motherland. So they're returning back to her.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm looking at. So Islam.
Interesting. Anyone else?
Islam.
Islam Emperor.
I'm looking through my grandparents' eyes and through my eyes, past 150 years. I see, and through working through the corporate world, I see that they were excited to come to America because they seen that we were asleep and they could take on the identity. That's how I see it.
That's it, Empress. That's it right there. Islam nobility.
And certainly because of the propaganda that was so effective in bringing people here to undergird the indigenous folk that were here, lies at the foundation, I think, of what really was going on there.
Interesting.
Howard said, the land, and all of that. So that tells you quite a bit, because during a time that there was such a high incidence of people that look like us, right? Indigenous folks that were being deprived of their land forcibly and all other kinds of ways, and then turn right around and give it to those who were considered foreigners.
Islam. Interesting thought.
I'm reminded of the arch in St. Louis. Stands as a beacon and symbol of the so-called American westward expansion. And even though they have the story portrayed in underneath it, there are displays underneath a museum that displays the hypocritical non-truths of that story. Okay, we begin to understand how all that is linked to what was going on there, as they raised up in high esteem the pioneers during those particular times, and continue to do so today.
Interesting.
Islam.
So the reason that we have placed these questions before this Holy Congress, first, of course, is for us to think about the questions and about what's behind them. Also, to bring forth this one cause. The cause for the action of the actors coming, quote unquote, to quote unquote America is it has everything to do with the paperwork, and who was authoring the paperwork, and who was rebutting the paperwork. So if they said we have a constitution that says we can be here, what does the constitution that they're talking about look like? Who wrote it, and where was it written? Their Constitution was not written on any land at all. It was written on paper. It never occurred on land. They're actors. It's like a script that was written, or enacted rather, a script. Nothing that they did happened on the land, even to this day.
Shut the fuck up, you
Nothing that
Islamist
they did
terrorist bitch.
through the day, nothing that they did happened on the land. Nothing. It all happened in La La Land, imaginary land. Hollywood. Hollywood. Their constitution that they were calling a constitution, because it's not really a constitution, it's a script. It came from Hollywood. It's like a bad script that got out, and it's like someone made a newspaper in Hollywood for a movie, but the newspaper got out and people started distributing it as if it was real. And everybody fell for it. That's actually exactly what happened. The Hollywood sign actually read Holy Land. That's what it read before it was changed. It read Holy Land. The mountain that it's on is the Mount for Olives. It's got a bunch of olive trees on it. That's the real Mount of Olives. But that's not the point of these questions. The point of these questions is what happened so that we never repeat it again. That's the point of the question. I'm going to show you another part of the enactment and then I'll ask you the third question. Now that we know our own secret, will we continue to perpetuate the secret? Because we do have a choice, you know. So I was doing some study. I came across a book that was written in 1882. It's called The Art of Money -Getting. So obviously this is after 1871, when the frauds did the enactment of enacting being, you know, citizens and things of that nature. And at the very end of this book, at the very end of it, I came across this statement. And now remember, the question is, why was everyone so excited to enact coming to quote unquote America? What did they know that we did not know until recently? Here's the answer. The last paragraph of the book says the following. It starts out talking about a miser. It says, and we'll just start right here. But when in this country we find such a nuisance and stumbling block as a miser is someone who hoards things, who hoards resources and money. It says, we remember with gratitude that in America we have no laws of primogeniture, and that in the due course of nature, the time will come when the hoarded dust will be scattered for the benefit of mankind. So, can anyone explain to me what that means and how important it is? No laws of primogeniture. Islam, Empress.
There are no original people. They don't exist. This place is up for grabs.
Right.
I mean, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then to go on and say, I mean, they're stating who they are for the benefit of mankind.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, wow. And P.T. Barnum, is that not P.T. Barnum of the circus?
Yes. I knew somebody smart would catch it. Yes, P.T. Barnum's circus.
What?
But he was more than that in terms of his enactment. He was a writer also.
Yes. Well, obviously the circus. I mean,
yeah,
writing in three-dimensional with
creatures
and clowns and.
Yes.
But wow, there were no laws of primogeniture, which meant that the original people were no more. They're gone. There's no law. They're asleep. They're the dust, the hoarded dust. Wow, this is mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And not surprising, but still, again, in a book written right before one's eyes.
Yeah. When I saw it, I ran my fingers through my hair, and I just thought, I put my head down on Empress, and I was just like, wow. All I could say is wow.
Well, I'm here with you. Wow. Bumble wow.
Wow, right.
Wow.
So there's no such land that exists, and that's an open admission that they didn't do anything on land, because there's no land that doesn't have laws of primogeniture. Primogeniture, yes, we can actually go into Black's Law Dictionary and look that up really quickly if it's in there, because this Black's Law doesn't like to put things in there like that. So if it's in here, I'll be surprised. Very, very surprised. Let's see.
The first, the old.
Yes, and genitor of that gene pool.
Hello.
Let's see if it's in here. I would be very surprised. MNO, if it's in here. MN. Whoa, it's in here. Surprise, surprise, surprise. Wow.
Islam, though. One quick question, because it's stated about in this country, because I took a screenshot. So it says, but when in this country, what country were they referring to?
Read a little further.
Well, because it says in America. So I think that they were referring to another country, because it says we find such a nuisance in the stumbling block as a miser. And as I looked it up, the definition, someone who hoards. And so a person who hoards wealth and spends as little money as possible.
Mm-hmm.
We remember with gratitude that in America we have no laws of a primogeniture. So to me, I'm thinking that they're referring to their previous country to where they were before they got to America, because they were looking at the comparativeness of their country versus America.
So the America that they're talking about is not our America. It's one that it only exists on paper, or only existed previously in a script, an acting script. It's not the real America.
So, but they are making a comparative statement, because they said we remember with gratitude that in America we have no laws of primogeniture.
Mm-hmm.
And
so where they came from is what they're talking about regarding the miser, I guess. But I know that, we're talking about primogeniture in America. And they were not talking about the land. They were talking about a script and what it would be like.
And then it says, and that in due course of nature, the time will come. When the time will come when the hoarded dust will be scattered for the benefit of mankind, all men.
They were actually referencing the money that the miser hoarded would become dust and be scattered for the benefit of all mankind.
Which would be the awakening of the Moors again.
Yeah. Like now. So primogeniture, the state of being the firstborn among several children of the same parents. And again, they're gonna, these definitions we must clarify. Seniority by birth in the same family, the superior or exclusive right possessed by the eldest son, and particularly his right to succeed to the estate of his ancestor, which is mother, in right of his seniority by birth to the exclusion of younger sons. So, no laws of primogeniture. And again, they were actors. They were actors. But in their enactment, they saw that the law of right of firstborn, they wrote that into their script. They wrote that into their script and in their enactment. We were not supposed to be a part of the script. We were supposed to remain ourselves and watch the play. We were not supposed to participate in birth certificates and Social Security cards and all of that. We were supposed to just watch it and see what things would be like if we let the patients run the insane asylum, so to speak. Primogenitus, a firstborn or eldest son. And again, this definition, and we agree with it, we affirm, because it's mother who gives that designation from the last era regarding the son. And they can even be at this era as well, if we say that they can. So,
Islam. I'm sorry, but oh my goodness, can you tell them to turn the music down, Nate, please? Islam. The reading that because I keep rereading this short 4-sentence statement, but when in the country we find such a nuisance of a stumbling block as a miser, and I just put the word as a hoarder, we remember with gratitude that in America we have no laws of a heir. I'm gonna change that word to an heir because a primogeniture would be an heir, and that in the due course of nature, the time will come when the hoarded dust will be scattered for the benefit of mankind. So they're speaking to the corporate fiction governments, and there's still a contrasting that they're making, because they're stating that they find the corporate government a stumbling block because they just keep hoarding all the wealth, and the rich keep getting richer and the poor keep getting poorer. And then they state that we remember with gratitude that in America we have no such laws as an heir, and in that due course of nature, the time will come when the hoarder dust will be scattered for the benefit of mankind. So they're speaking of the wealth, the riches, and the ability to get that.
So what that tells us is that in 1885 they knew about laws of primogeniture. In 1885 they knew. All of this was known. None of this is new. So for the Moors who think that the subjects did not know who we were, they did. They knew. They've always known. We were the only ones who did not. It's like a play from Hollywood that leaked out into the news and became everyone's life, seemingly, in the enactment. It's like there was a play at school, but the people at the school, including the teachers and the staff and everyone, kept doing the play once they left the school. And they started doing it everywhere. Even when they went on vacation to other states, they continued with this play until everyone believed it.
Islam sounds like today.
Islam,
it sounds like
that is
where many people are today, or we were to a certain degree, but it's kind of like a reality TV show. People watch and follow. Next thing you know, they're doing everything that they were watching on the reality TV.
Right. That part right there. Yeah, that part right there.
Yeah, that's sort of the world right now. But yeah. Upside down again.
Upside down for real. And in this play that they had this monopoly money, and they started using it outside of the play, and people were accepting it when that's not real money.
It was working.
So that is what I just wanted to point that out. And then the third part of that question, the questions up here is, now that we know our own secret, will we continue to perpetuate the secret? No, because there's no land that does not have laws of primogeniture. We put that in the writing from the beginning.
And we are the primogeniture.
Yes. So we must all know this, and proceed as stated. When you go out to the grocery store, they already know this. They know you're the primogenitors for all. They know this. When you go down the street to the post office, they know that your ancestors and your bloodline put the post office there. Put it there from the beginning. When you go to a car dealership, and I'll say car dealership, because in reality we were getting everything straight from the factory. That's why it's called a factory. It's about facts. We got everything from there. And then everyone else went retail. Retail, that we're the head and not the tail. That's part of that whole situation right there also.
Yes, and they added ship to it because for the retail, ship means they took it off the land.
Yeah. Yeah. That's SHIP. Yeah, ship. So, and they didn't take it off the land. They wrote, it's like a script. In their script, they said, okay, this is where it is. And then they would say, Washington. Well, that's not Washington. WA is not a state. That's not a state. An abbreviation is actually a substitution. That's what the definition of an abbreviation is a substitution. Islam, Empress.
You say they wrote it into being. And then we learned by rote what wasn't, but acted as if it was. You know the word rote, to learn something by rote is just to keep repeating. You learn it by rote. So you just repeat.
I did not know that, Empress. That's a new one.
So you just learn by repeating. You don't even bother about learning what you're really saying or the meaning behind. You just learn by rote, which is really what a lot of schools
learn by rote. R-O-T-E. I assume, is that the spelling?
R-O-T-E.
Wow, because what I'm hearing there is broken record technique.
Yes.
Because that's what we have done in order to write things. And when I say write things, I mean put them in the right place.
That's exactly it.
Broken record technique is what we did when we went to the fake jails, because it's not even a real jail. It was a court while we were there. In 2020, 2021, whichever, the time has gone by so quickly. But for 10 days, we did the same court action that we do at the start of these Congress meetings, of these Congresses. That same court action language is what we did for 10 days. And we were not going to stop either. And when they realized we weren't going to stop, they said, okay, we got to get her out of here because we don't have jurisdiction over her. And we can't get it because she keeps doing court action. Islam.
As I listen, I'm hearing the narrative. I'm hearing wrote. The same writing they did with the Civil War. It was no actual real physical Civil War to the script that Hollywood for years have been putting on the screen for entertainment.
Yes.
I've talked to elders and they said that was no real Civil War.
Right.
That was just a script. So we keep repeating the script and we keep repeating it, then it's real in the mind.
Yeah.
No, sure.
Yeah.
Islam.
You know, I think that a lot of people, slavery is the same way.
Yeah.
There was nobody walking around on this land with chains on their arms and stuff like that. There was none of that. People might say, oh, but nobody can prove it. I haven't seen any chains. I haven't seen any ships. I haven't seen any of that. Islam, Empress.
I came across a book on the subject of the Civil War that I was reading after this last demonstration that I did, and it was interesting to me because what I saw in that book was just a series of just reclassifications and classifications of the people via these Native Americans, blacks, etc., and what it was prior to that. So those who participated and claimed, oh, we are going to fight for the benefit of the United States as XYZ classification, and just I still haven't quite processed it completely, but it was interesting to see what they identified as prior to and how much percentages of the land was so-called free black slaves in certain territories to, you know, what it became afterward. It's an interesting book.
I already know who wrote the book. I don't even have to ask if it was a modern one that wrote it. I'm pretty sure that it was. when I hear those stories, because see, I've only seen a few photos where they were saying, you know, this was slavery, this was slavery. And those same photos have been passed around and regurgitated and reprinted, you know, and used for everything possible. The lashes on the back, the one sitting with the lashes on the back and all of that, those same photos just over and over and over. The slavery enactment was just us acting like we forgot who we were. We just forgot. When I think about my parents, I mean, at one point I was a little bit just perplexed because I asked the ancestors, what in the world? You know, why would my parents not know this information? And the answer came back, because they would have torn everything up. My parents, like many of yours, most of yours, were very powerful people in terms of what they did. My parents, there was no odds that they didn't beat. No odds that they didn't beat. So they would have, if my mother had the information that I have, the whole place would have been turned upside down. And right side up, rather, in a very short time period. And then she would have had all of us with her, tearing, just unafraid, completely unafraid. Islam Empress.
I say that the chains are in their minds, fictional. Yeah. Many people still act as if they have chains, you know, the way that they, and I would say live their life, but they're not living their life. They, you know, they kind of, I can't even think of a word to say. They kind of
they're living someone else's life.
That's exactly.
They're
or allowing someone to
death.
Right. They're acting that they're living when they're, you know, the chains are in their mind. They think they have the mind of a slave, someone that's enslaved. They put someone above them. You know, they have a boss or a master or a whatever it may be, a husband or a mother, or, you know, and they, that person, their power. They allow that person to, you know, they see themselves as beneath. And so they allow that whoever to chain them, and they see the chains themselves. That's my analogy.
Yes, Empress. You know, I was looking at a video, speaking of that, I was looking at a video just yesterday of this couple.
Yeah.
And it was a Moorish male, and he was with someone who is, she's a modern European, but she has some Hispanic in her, so she's passing for a Moor, because he was a professional football player. So, you know, and as I watched them, they were showing a house that they live in, that they occupy. And the house is 12,000 square feet. It's decorated just immaculately. It's just beautiful. Everything looks perfect. But I realized when I did a little further research on the whole situation that they're acting also, and they don't know, he doesn't know that she's an actress, but she knows that she is. And that the script and everything, the acting system has fallen apart. So they're looking for ways to stay in this beautiful domicile. You know, they're on the treadmill of trying to stay in this domicile, but the acting system is finished. We knew, and our ancestors knew, that we would end the acting system by taking the fiat away.
Yeah.
Because if you take that away, that was the source of everything, or the resource of everything in the enactment. And they knew we would know how to do it. They knew that we would lean and lean and lean until that fiat stopped moving. And when that stops, what do the actors have to look forward to if they're not getting a paycheck? Nothing.
Nothing. Because that's what motivates them.
And now they just look forward to us saying, all rise and stand, and remain standing. So what we're going to do right now, and this is something I had not planned per se, but Allah is the best of all planners. I know it's happening already, but we hereby break the spell over everyone at earth. We break the spell over everyone. The laws for primogeniture are truth. We're here. We're alive. We're on the land. And so is everyone else. We hereby proclaim that. And I will say this, you all, by the time my consort is waking up, everybody is waking up. I can tell you that.
Well, I affirm.
Yes. He actually is waking up. And to me, it's like, okay, when that last era system, quote unquote, it treated them well. They got their retirement, they got this, they got that. It treated them well, so they had no reason to wake up. Even they're waking up now. And to me, that's amazing. Absolutely amazing. So with that being stated, are there any other questions, comments, wisdom regarding this? Islam, Empress.
Yes, I wanted to affirm that. I've been trying to get my brother, who did well in that system, for years, to take a look at this, and he's telling me things that are going on out there, and asking for assistance to get his proclamation on the record. So yes, things are changing. Islam.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And in that regard, okay, after all that we witnessed in all the acting and things, ignorance of the law was no excuse for us in that enactment. Proverbs, the 11th chapter, verse 15. Because see, the reason that most of us were pretending to be Christians is so that we would have no excuse in the enactment. Everything was placed in the Biblios, we just couldn't read it. Even though they had us reading it every Sunday, and for some of us 5 and 6 days a week. He who is surety for a stranger will suffer, but one who hates being surety is secure. There is danger in putting up security for a stranger's debt. What is that saying? That's saying that if you're still claiming their person and you're trying to put security up for their person, that's dangerous. It is safer not to guarantee another person's debt. It's right there in the book. Right there in the book. Not to be surety for someone else's person, which means someone else's debt, a stranger at that. If someone puts up security for a stranger, he will suffer for it, but the one who hates such agreements is protected. This is from Proverbs 11:15. Ignorance of this was no excuse. Y'all see what what the enactment was? The enactment was you all are, you're still gonna be taken and detained, et cetera, in the enactment. Because you had a biblios in your hand and nobody told you what this meant. Proverbs 17, verse 18. A man lacking common sense gives a pledge and becomes guarantor for the debt of another in the presence of his neighbor. That's one without sense enters an agreement and puts up security for his friend. He who gives his hand to guarantee a loan for his neighbor lacks good sense. It's stupid to guarantee someone else's loan. A senseless man striketh hands, becoming surety for his neighbor. Striking hands means shaking hands. A foolish man will clap his hands when he is surety for his friend. Having stated that, again, everything was right in our faces the whole time. We just didn't see it, but we saw it and we didn't even know what we were looking at. So
Islam, because we were taught to not challenge the debt, because especially in the church. You went to church, you paid your tithes and offerings, you sat quiet, mum was the word, you couldn't say nothing outside of what the script was. And so even if you thought you read it proper and you came with the revelation of the real truth, you still couldn't say nothing because they would shoo you out the back door and say you're crazy, and then cut you off from all your so-called circle of friends and so on and so forth. But yeah, back to the not challenging the debt, because that is within the Constitution, because that's also in alignment with the biblioheliotext, that if you are their person, you can't challenge the debt. But we didn't know how to read none of that at the time.
Right. Islam.
This is what I spoke about, I think maybe 2 meetings ago, when I expressed that in my former walk in the ministry, I discovered that after I left, that one of the heirs found out who he was, proclaimed his nationality, and was subsequently excommunicated from the cult organization / religion.
Yeah.
Okay. And now I fully because I said that's impossible, because there was no scriptural standing for that. It was not written anywhere in the bibliohelios or in the church dogma. It wasn't even written in there. So why did they take that position? It's because of what we have just been talking about. They knew, we did not. It was to keep us from finding out. When you find out, it's time for you to go, because you may infect the others with the truth and the light that has shone upon you. So we got to get you out quickly.
Yeah.
And that was why they excommunicated that man, that fellow heir, simply for proclaiming his nationality.
Islam. But they did have it written. We just never saw that particular book. Because I know for certain that things that they do is written somewhere, because they have to even follow the rules to the letter of the T. So if it's not written somewhere for them to do, they can't color outside the lines. So they do things because it's in another book, in another sect of the theological doctrine of knowledge, and so that's why they don't allow certain questions to be asked, because as soon as it goes off the script, they know it's outside their pay grade. And because I don't know, because I was raised in the church, and every single time somebody was in the pulpit, it was being recorded. And even before 2020, I came to the understanding the reason why they were recording those things, because those tapes were gone over by the corporate government for seeing to know that they were not saying something outside the script that they were allowed to say for the 501c3 to maintain their status. So anything and everything was always gone through with a fine-tooth comb, because I promise you I could go back to the location, though the name has changed, the so-called pastor has changed, and the congregation has changed, but the records for that building is still there for the recording of every single sermon and every single word spoken, because of that part. You cannot challenge the debt and be that person.
It's like being in a play. It's like being in a play, and in the play you're supposed to be a slave in the play, but you keep standing up being yourself in the play, and they're like, no, that's not what you're supposed to say. We're gonna have to boot you out of the play because you're not doing your part right.
Yeah, and those recordings were real, man. Those recordings every Sunday after church, the somebody from the clergy would go and get the recording and put it on the record. Yeah.
Islam.
In a real short overstanding, it's the blind leading the blind to keep the people blind like sheep. They easily be led like sheep in the wrong direction. And this is a state of mind in that script that they've had all of us in, as you say, in the funny mirror, in the prior era. Because I was raised in the church too and asked questions, and no one could ever answer any of my questions. So I found the answers to the questions when I became an adult in my studies. And I think many of us went through that stage, look up the etymology of words, and that which we missed or was not answered when we were younger in the church Bible studies. Islam.
Both my parents were pastors, bishops, and my father was so, my mother even more so. They came into the ministry challenging the ministry system. And that's how their church grew to be so big, is because they were challenging the ministry system. However, they were challenging it with more ministry stuff. So they weren't really that big of a threat, but just in case, they put them on TV in Alabama, and they were on the Fox station there for years. For many years, and they just wanted to hear what he's saying, and every now and then someone from the quote, an actor from the Secretary of State's office or someone like that would call and say, hey, we heard this and we heard that, and what's going on with this and what's going on with that. Every now and then they would do that. But my parents colored in the lines so well without getting go over on the other side because it wasn't time. Clearly it wasn't time, or they'd have done it. They would have done it because they were challengers of systems. So I know that, and that's like many of your parents as well were challengers of systems. That's why so many of us not ended up because that's not the end for us, but many were doing time in POW camps because we were always challenging. Always. My parents just did it in the system, a different way, but they still challenged, so, but it's all, we're here now, all of us. We're here to, I just, whatever the ancestors have for us in terms of the unfoldment, hereafter, the unfoldment. And we decide that, really, because they're working through us. We are our ancestors' hands and mouths and brains and bodies and legs and eyes and all of that. So we get to determine and state how things will be moving forward. A lot of that we've done. I was going to restate the one document that we started on, but I did not continue restating it because I thought we would do it together. It's from Article, I think from Article 4 until Article 15, and they're not very long articles. In the restatement process, I'm just keeping everything very simple and basically as it is, just changing the names of the, not the names, but the parties, and making just a few changes to it because it's going to talk about the rest of how things should be for this new era that we have, this new age that we are at, So one of the things, though, things are changing really quickly. We'll state this before we move to the next item. Things are changing now that the public is public. One of the main changes that I'm seeing is that all commodities and all products that contain commodities are being treated as public products, which cannot be withheld from the public by a previous private actor from the previous era. The Biblios list commodities throughout: land, water, air, grain, wine, oil, silver, gold, frankincense, myrrh, and all others throughout the Biblios are listed there. In the Biblios, Joel 2:19, I'm sending you grain, new wine, and olive oil, enough to satisfy you fully. Never again will I make you an object of scorn to the nations. And that's actually a promise to us by our ancient ancestors, and they're working that through us. We're not waiting for anyone to come from the sky because we're already here. And we're actually seeing this, and I'll give an example of that shortly. Haggai 2:8, the silver is ours and the gold is ours, says this nation, the Lord's for all hosts. One of the examples that we're seeing of commodities and things being made public is that I was watching a video on YouTube. I came across, I come across things so randomly, but it's never random. It's all by design, divine design. That the stores, there was someone going through one of the stores that requires a membership card for you to buy things there. And this particular store that requires a membership card for you to buy things from there, the one who was going through the store was stating that that anyone who wants to come in and buy anything that's commodities based, such as pharmaceuticals, they have oil in those departments, the oils, the skin oils and things of that nature, and things that are made from medicinal plants and whatever they have in some of the stores, that even if that store has a membership card where they say you can't come in without this membership card, you can actually go in and buy things that are commodities based without the card and without paying that fee. So what we're seeing is, yes, they're still doing things using the bank unit, the quote unquote bank units, but that's only a little while longer. In fact, that's really already done in the enactment. So anything that is commodities based, the ability to access it is changing in our favor in preparation for what we're doing even now with regard to the money, the merchant cards, the gold and silver, and things of that nature, because it has always been substance for substance. Also, the stores are starting to bring in commodities-based products that are made from the real commodity and not a laboratory copy of the commodity. So,
in Islam, I affirm that makes complete sense because of all the paperwork that we've stated on the public record stating that the land is the land and everything that comes from the land is for the people and it's public. Yeah. So the fact that it's now being, seen in the so-called stores, that they are honoring what we've commanded, and they had no choice but to. The things that is known as commodities, natural resources, also known as, that a membership can't exclude people from resourcing and using the things that come from the land, because there's no private membership, to suck from the land. So, because it is for the people and it is public.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
and that's no matter who, what, when, where. Commodities-based products and commodities are public property. They do not belong to anything and anyone private. And I know some Moors are all about that private piece, but what they don't realize, and most of the Moors that I see who emphasize the private like that, don't realize that the thing that they were calling public wasn't really public. It was private pretending to be public. Things like, quote unquote, and I can't say quote unquote, the real police, which is us, that's a public service. It's a public service. It's a public work. It comes with the cities. It comes with the cities. And so, because it comes with the cities, it was never supposed to be about, people were never supposed to be going in debt like that for those reasons. Some actor enacts, in the last era they were enacting pulling people over and giving them a ticket and then throwing them in jail for not paying the ticket when they didn't have the money in the first place and they didn't ask to be pulled over. Things of that nature. That was just a terrible enactment. Any place again that has a pharmacy, or and did you know? And I didn't know this until I did a little bit more research on public products and commodities-based products. Even things, and we don't push this, but our ancestors used it. Alcohol and things of that nature, and even herbs and things. Those are commodities because they come from the land, and so those things. That's something we can, we can go out and pick and pull and whatever. Our ancestors were huge on, things that tinctures and things of that nature that are made with alcohol, but you take it for medicinal purposes. They were huge on that, especially once disease entered the land. If you know what I mean by that. So with that being stated, this is the document that we started in the last Congress, and I'll just put this in the chat actually. I'll put the link to it in the chat. Yes, we are the commodity, Justice Malik. We are indeed. And actually, we're the most exclusive and rarest earth commodity. It is through us that all the other commodities can live. So, are there any other questions, comments, wisdom? Noble Phoenix asked for an explanation of the proper exchange. We'll go over that once we restate these last few articles with regard to our supreme authority at earth, Islam. Just one moment. So last time we stopped at Article 4. Okay. Previously, and I'll just read through some of this just to bring us up to where we, the purpose of this document is based on we'll just show it on the screen what it's based on. It's based on the declaration regarding the defeat of Germany and the assumption of supreme authority by Allied powers June 5th, 1945. We based this restatement on this document right here. And all we're doing is giving commands now that we have properly, according to international law, restated our sovereign authority over the earth. So this is the law and proclamation regarding the stated, demonstrated, and proven reign by supreme authority at earth by the government for the United States for America, for we are the Moorish National Republic federal government, hereinafter stated as the government. When we say stated, demonstrated, and proven, here's what that means. That means that we've been saying, Moors have been saying for many, many years, hey, we're the heirs to all land, all natural resources, and all commerce. And everyone else was saying, prove it. So we did. Everyone who's done a POW camp demonstration has proven it. Everyone who's done an eviction demonstration and still know who they are and still proclaiming who they are has demonstrated it. Regardless of what happened with the domicile, regardless of any of that. If you still know who you are and you're still standing on your sovereign authority, then you've demonstrated that you are the supreme authority law for the land, for the whole earth. You've proven that. You've proven your sovereign reign by supreme authority at earth. So if you've demonstrated your nationality in any way, if you've just said to someone, hey, I'm a Moorish American, or I'm an Al Moroccan, or I'm a original indigenous being, we're the law for the land. If you said anything close to that, being of the bloodline and birthright, then you have stated, demonstrated, and proven your reign by supreme authority. So we talked about the corporate actors and what they are to do. The ones previously acting as armed forces have surrendered unconditionally and stated that and there are none capable of resisting the will of the government. There are none capable of governing or pretending to govern or anything of that nature. So there are none capable of accepting responsibility for the maintenance of order, the ministry of the vast estate, and compliance with requirements of the victorious powers, the government. It was under these circumstances that we make provision for the cessation of any further enacted hostilities, for the maintenance of order at earth, and for the ministry of the country. And we say country, it's exactly what we intend for it to mean. It means what we say that it means. Because they were attempting to minister something called a country when it's not theirs to minister. And to announce the immediate requirements with which all must comply. We even put in stipulations, not stipulations, but commands on governing the protege Moors. The protege Moors are those that think that they are Negro, black, colored, and African American. Those are the protege Moors. That also includes those that think that they're Indians. Those are the protege Moors. They are under the patronage, care, and protection of another. How do we know that? Because they were put on a reservation, and you have Moors thinking that they're part of that Indian piece and that they belong on a reservation under the care, protection, and patronage of another.
I just had a little chuckle because when you said it this time around for the reservation, it's like going to a restaurant and you put on notice that you're coming and they reserve the table for you, reservation, that one. And then when you say reservation for the land, it's like the enactment of them reserving the land for you to wake up and realize that this belongs to you and you're supposed to be the one governing it. That part. This one.
Yeah. The whole earth is our reservation. That's the issue. That's the only difference between what they're saying and what we proclaim and state and demonstrate.
Yes, that's why I said this is the enactment that they're pretending that they're doing something for you. Meanwhile, that they're just saying from their perspective, we're reserving this land. They don't say it that way. They need reservation affairs. They make you so seemingly enact jumping through hoops to get something that belongs to you, i.e. the reservation. That if they're enacting the reservation of you enacting, waking up and actually claiming who you are.
Yeah, Islam, indeed. Indeed.
So they're providing food for the miners.
That's it. That's it. They're saying, stay in this little daycare center right here, and we'll feed you alcohol, tobacco, and firearms so y'all can play. Basically, that's what was being enacted in the last era. And that's for subjects and proteges, for people to, who cannot, they don't have the competence to govern their own lives. And we can kind of see that with the last enactment from the last era, how everything just kind of went P.T. Barnum on us. So, Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus. So, here is number 4. Let's start here. It says all German and German-controlled naval vessels, surface and submarine auxiliary. This is the original of what it looks like. So first we'll present the original, and then we'll just go ahead and start restating it. Okay. So what we were because we're again talking about the Earth. In the one previous, we said all aircraft in or over territories or waters. So here we just took out German. All naval vessels, surface and marine, auxiliary naval craft, and merchant and other shipping, wherever such vessels may be at the time of this declaration, we'll just take that out. And as I'm restating this, stop me if you *6 and stop me if you see something that that stands out for you, nobility, Congress, because this one right here is very important because it's actually talking about conveyances and traveling on around. All naval vessels, surface and submarine, auxiliary naval craft, and merchant and other shipping, and all other merchant ships of whatever nationality in German ports will remain in or proceed immediately to ports and bases as specified by the Allied representative. So, everywhere that I saw Allied representatives, I just put United States, and again, it's the living United States. We're the writers of this, so that means all of us. And when we say United States, we're talking all of the nations, all of them, the original indigenous nations. It says the crews of such vessels will remain on board pending further commands. So, and I'm giving you an eye into how we restate things when we're looking at things and we're restating things, because we do it so often. This is how it goes when we do it. It does not take a long time, depending on the length of the law that we're restating. This is an earth-wide law. So, the words are going to be very important. And there's really only one United Nations. Those others were not a United Nations. We're the United Nations. This is important. All ships and vessels for the living United Nations, whether or not title has been transferred as the result of prize, court, or other proceedings, which are at the disposal of and we're going to go ahead and just assign title over. We'll go ahead and restate all titles. Nations have been transferred. Along with titles have been restated. Will proceed at the dates and to the ports or bases specified. Why don't we have them proceed immediately? To the ports or bases specified by the United States. Article 5. All or any of the five. Now remember, Moors, when this was being enacted in 1945, this was the enactment of them taking everything that we had. Everything that we had in the enactment. All or any of the following articles in the possession of the German armed forces or under German control or at German disposal will be held intact and in good condition at the disposal of the Allied representatives for such purposes or at such times and places that they may prescribe. In the possession of the armed forces. We'll just take this out. Will be held intact and in good condition. Islam.
In alignment with this document being restated, it is no coincidence that evidence of really what took place during the enactment of World War II and the surfacing of the information and what that war presented for the true nation and the usurpation and the enactment of the usurpation of the people. And before you restated this article, it was stating how the property and the possessions of the German military and government was to be under the authority of the people who conquered them. And so the enactment of the conquering of the Germans was another, I guess you could call it a metaphor for the conquering on paper of what the enactment of the Moors. And so that's why the truth about what happened at World War II and everything else that happened in the enactment is coming out. So the restatement of this document is another form of reversion of the state back unto us.
It is, absolutely. This is what they enacted regarding Hitler.
Mm-hmm.
This was that enactment. And when we look back in their said history regarding Hitler. Hitler was, according to, the readings, the scripts, Hitler was fighting capitalism. That's what he was fighting.
Yep.
Fighting capitalism. Capitalism by, corporations, quote unquote. That's what he was doing. Well, we've already defeated any enactments of that. We've already overcome that. We've overstated, overstand, understand, all of that regarding capitalism.
That part.
Yeah. This didn't really need to be changed that much. It's just listing all factories, plants, shops, research institutions, laboratories, testing stations, technical data, patents, plans, drawings, inventions designed and intended to produce, to facilitate the production or use of articles, materials, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And let's just take this minus sign out because it doesn't have any place in what we're doing. Yeah, this is all of that. All of these enactments here, or otherwise to further.
Do we have to keep the above or otherwise to further the conduct of war? Do we have to keep that?
What it's saying is all of the following articles in possession of all armed forces will be held intact and in good condition at the disposal for the United States for such purposes or at such. You know what? That's good. Let's such times and such as the United States shall state. So let's say for the otherwise to further the conduct of peace.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. That's a great catch. At the demand of at the command, the following will be furnished. No, it won't. Will be furnished. It is hereby furnished. The labor, services, and plant required for the maintenance and or operation of any of the 6 categories mentioned in paragraph A above. Let's see, paragraph A. Any of the 6 categories. Yeah, we're not at war, so we don't really need that for that. But the plants, the factories, the shops, and all of that, for things such as conveyances, domiciles, things that we have proclaimed on our own land, that is what we will be using any of this for. Is to peacefully build out the land, to uncover the things that are ours and have been here, and things of that nature. Islam, Empress.
Where you're saying the United States, would you add the Republican form of government, Moroccan, our government heading there?
In an international document, the writer, whatever state, nation, government writes it, is who it's referring to. So there is no United States but the Moors. That other thing doesn't exist. And even at international law, it doesn't exist.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Islam. And we're not talking to the dead, and we're not talking to anybody who recognizes that thing. We're not even talking to anybody who recognizes that thing as a state, because it's really not a state. Everyone knows that. Yeah, we only recognize those who recognize us.
Okay.
And that's the living, period.
Okay.
That thing has surrendered, and that's really what the document is saying, Empress, is that they've surrendered unconditionally, and that they are no more.
Got you.
Yeah, Islam. At the command of the United States, and we could even say at the command of the government, the following is hereby furnished, because we stated who the government was at the beginning of the document. Will that be better, Empress, to say the government, at the command of the government?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, let's put that here. The following is hereby furnished. Labor, Public Works, Public Services, and Plant required for the maintenance or operation of any of the 6 categories mentioned in paragraph A above. Any information or records that may be required by the government in connection with the same. Let's see. At the demand, at the command of the government, all facilities will be provided for the movement of peacekeepers, because we don't need troops, and agencies their equipment and supplies on the railroads, roads, and other land communications, or by sea, river, or air. All means of transportation will be maintained in good order and repair, and the labor, services, and plant necessary, therefore, will be furnished. This right here is where conveyances and things come in at. Okay. And Article 6, so we will state, in accordance with the procedure, in accordance with our procedures, in accordance with the law, actually, all prisoners of war at present in their power. Islam.
Is it? Should it be the government authorities state in accordance, not will state?
Yes, Empress. Thank you. There it is. Thank you. That's important. That's very important. All prisoners of war at present in their power belonging to the forces of the United Nations will furnish full lists of these persons indicating the places of their detention in Germany or territory occupied by Germany. Okay, this is important. And we're not even going to call them prisoners of war, because that's not really what that is. We're just going to call them prisoners. In their power.
Islam.
Islam, Empress.
Living United Nations?
There's only one United Nations. There's only one. We can put living, that would be assuming that there's a dead one, but there really isn't. They were never nations. And we stated that up above. a couple of times up above.
This is true because those are corporate fictions, and that's a known fact amongst the people who know that those actors pretending to be nations weren't nations.
Yeah. Belonging to the forces of the United Nations. Prisoners don't really belong to anybody when they're actually in their power, meaning their proper person. Their power are hereby. This is my question to the Congress. The prisoners are hereby set free, but we want to have domiciles and things for them. We don't want to just turn them loose on the street. That's my only hesitation with saying everyone is set free at once.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So maybe we'll just provide, let's say those who have domiciliary are hereby set free. And I don't want to do that either because there are some who could come out and find domiciliary within a very short period of time.
Islam. Possibly, if you say, according to their proclamation and profession of the words out of their mouth, they are free, because one can make the profession to state out of their mouth that they are free, can surely profess and claim a domiciliary, because that would be the definition of the word demonstrate, and by the demonstration thereof, or how you can state that.
Yeah.
This would fall in the government housing, would it not?
Yes, it would.
Islam.
Islam, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, it falls up under, you can set them free, but I also had them to record, to certain, institutions as far as, recording to make sure that they doing the proper things.
Yeah, Islam. Okay. Islam.
One other comment. While participating in the another legislative body, I'll put it that way, within the Moorish Science Temple, there was laws that were being constructed for this very purpose. There was a whole discussion and a whole enactment for prisoners coming out. I was asked to provide consultants' input for that. And there's an entire piece. It's so complicated. There's so much to be considered that releasing them just willy-nilly without real deep, careful planning, execution, and preparedness for their entry back into society so that they can successfully not repeat the same patterns that led to them to get there in the first place, one, but two, so that it can support a change in behavior, number two, and number three, to make sure that they are successful and they have all the tools that they need without, just throwing everything at them per se, but yet making sure that they have sufficient. So it was a whole comprehensive piece, and my consultation, my recommendation for us as a Congress is that we give some serious deep thought, contemplation, and discussion around this matter because it's so impactful to society on our land. That's what I'm going to recommend. So we need to give ourselves time to really think this through and not just make the pronouncement and then have everybody come out. I know that's not what you're saying, and that's not what you're saying. Okay? So let me qualify that. That's not what you're saying. That's not what you're intending. But I don't want that to have the effect, and we shouldn't want that effect to be that everyone's just coming out. And we don't really have the system in place that's actually proven that's actually working, and the houses are available to them, not what we talked about on paper, but what's actually demonstrated. We got people on this call right now that are still without homes. So is it really ready? No, not yet. Not for everyone, until we can at least really show over and over and over and over again that the housing is available. The system is working. We are working the system the way we need to work it so that people are not on the streets anymore. And those that are in our Congress that are on the street have been taken off the street, taken themselves off the street, by using the tools that we have provided. Now we factually can prove, shut the dum-dums up and the rest of the people that don't want us to enact this stuff, okay? Their mouths are shut. They're already shut. They're quiet, big quiet for the last couple of weeks. Thank you. All right? But anything, everybody's quiet.
Islam.
We're standing up. Islam,
let me address that really quickly, Empress Shasha, before we go on. Let me say this about having a long discussion about our brothers and sisters. And Noble Phoenix, please don't take this personally, because I've given thought to what you said even before, because we've talked about this before too. Okay, but the more I thought about it, the first thing that the ancestor said was, do you know who was coming through Ellis Island when they came here en masse?
Hello.
It was a bunch of prisoners and jail people with no pre-screening, no nothing.
Hello.
So for us, yes, we want order, there will be order. But I don't think that even the Moors that have been incarcerated or locked up or doing POW demonstrations, even in this Congress, were not supposed to be there in the first place.
I'm in agreement.
That's Islam. Let me please just...
You go ahead, Empress Shasha. I know I got to let you have it. Go ahead.
And that's the piece I wanted, the comment I wanted to make. Many in those prisoner of war camps, many detained do not belong there, are not there, having committed any crime which is, unless they actually harm somebody, fine. But there are many of us on this congressional assembly right now who were incarcerated or did prisoner of war demonstrations. And really, you can't make that I think it's let's be clear that not everyone in those institutions or in the enactments in those institutions are people to be afraid of. They're you and me.
I agree, because I was one of them.
Yeah. Just a moment. Let me because I know y'all. Yes, Empress Shasha, go ahead and complete your thought.
I wanted to make comment on that the broad stroking of the idea that we should be concerned and make sure that they will be successful and not to limit recidivism, as they call it.
Yeah.
But that piece, their homes, a domicile, a safe space, a place, must take precedence over any of those types of thoughts. That's just my personal opinion.
Islam. Empress Shasha, have you completed your thought? I want to make sure that we honor everyone and hear everyone's thought.
I yield.
Islam. Go ahead, Justice Travis.
Yes, I want us all to take a moment and remember what we're doing here and what we're talking about. And we must know firsthand that all crimes are commercial crimes.
Come on now.
A lot of our brothers have been violent. A lot of our brothers have did some wrongful things that against mankind or crimes against humanity. That's one. But 99% of our people, or people in general, are there because of commercial crimes.
Islam.
So now, when we start talking about worrying about them having a place to stay and everything, Islam. I agree. That's very important. But to think about, start talking about recidivism, I can't even pronounce it right. Recidivism rate and all that stuff, that's the old funny method. Those are commercial crimes. 99% of our people sign contracts to go in there instead of surety for that, and they don't know that. We just the lucky ones went in there and did some time and found out what was going on, that we know they're all commercial crimes.
Speech.
I yield.
Islam.
Empress Nabi, and then the other Empress.
I want to say this. Some of those that are in those places are some of our great ones that could actually help us facilitate to the next level. And that's the whole reason why they're there. So I would not hesitate into making sure that they are here with us to be able to finish up the good work.
I'm on that. Islam.
I second that.
I affirm all that has been stated thus far.
Islam.
Empress Navina.
Hallelujah.
Greetings, everyone. So I'm in support of being cautious in our wording. Just as the Noble said that a lot of these crimes that they're claiming to be crimes are commercial in nature, because I too have gotten housed one night, and that was a result from back in the day when I was a young mother with a child, and there were times that, you had to make some negotiations as far as car insurance or food or house, or a roof over your head. And many times the car insurance thing was not high on my priority. However, when they enacted that one 3 strikes you're out deal, I got caught up in that. And so
over insurance?
Yes. I mean, I was called a what is it that you actually get it's not a misdemeanor.
It's a felony.
Yes.
For car insurance.
Yes.
Islam
Are you serious?
had it. Yes, I remember it.
What?
100%.
What?
Let's be cautious in our wording, please.
So, okay. Is there anyone else who wants to affirm that we go ahead with setting everyone free at their own, at their present power? Because at their present power means that they know who they are.
Islam. That's why I previously stated that the proclamation of one's affirmation for their nationality would be that freeing mechanism, tool, demonstration for them to be by their own power, raise thyself from the dead. We talked about that last Congress about, raising the dead and all that good stuff. So that would be the balance of the scale, if you could say, of the justice that would keep the order, as it were, in the showing who is of the capacity of the knowledge to show the demonstration. Because Grand Sheik always says it all the time. Those who demonstrate the paperwork, that's the book of life. Yeah. That is the book. So, and the book will be judged. That is the judgment day. So in the freeing of the people, the paperwork would be the freeing of them from behind bars. Islam.
Yes, indeed.
I have one other comment I'd like to make.
Islam. Noble Phoenix first, and then just one moment, and then Empress Yamaya, I believe it was, and then Empress Jalisha. Go ahead, Noble. Go ahead.
What I heard in response to my statement was, and this is, I don't know how to put this gently, but it seemed like an emotional response, because all of us have loved ones that have been affected, and we ourselves have been affected. I myself have been a prisoner of war, and innocently so, over some dang paperwork in a Form 56. So I know I didn't deserve there. However, had the release come while I was there, or if I was still serving time right now, okay? If I was still serving time right this moment, was not in this congressional call, and y'all released me out, I would have been in San Diego, California. I would have nowhere to go. I would have had no relatives, no family members in San Diego. Now, and I would not know what I know about trying to get housing, where to go, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So my concern, hold on, let me finish. My concern in just throwing open the gates is, and what I stated earlier, was that we need to make sure our system is proficiently running. We've proven it over and over and again. And, it, you know, we show even people from our Congress who are still homeless right now, okay? And they're on the call, and they have not gotten into housing yet, okay? And yet we're going to let all these people out, okay? And I'm not against letting them out. I'm just saying we need to have our foundation solid, so when they do come out, we can point them right over here. Not to go and study. Not to go and study 500 videos. Not to go and learn all of this stuff. But because the system is already there, we can provide it. That is my concern. Had y'all let me out right now, and I had been still in there all this time, I would have nowhere to go. I would still be homeless on the street. Who's going to come and get me off the street from this Congress? Who's going to come?
No one. You will do that yourself.
I got to get myself off the streets, right? And if I don't know all of this, how can I, let me finish, please. How can I, when I'm homeless on the street, I'm hungry, I don't know where I'm going, I don't know what's going on in the world, I don't know what's been happening in the Congress, I don't know any of this. Now, how am I going to find housing? I got no relatives there. I got no support system. Do you comprehend what I'm saying?
I do.
That's the intention, that we have to make sure that everything is in place for their benefit. So when they get out, they ain't got to wallow around on the street or hustle on the street. Okay? That's my concern. So now that I said that, I'll be quiet and yield. Whatever we decide, we decide. Peace.
Okay. If I may respond to that, and then Justice Travis can respond as well. Let me say this, because I think that we're forgetting, Noble Phoenix. I think that we're still relying on the 3 dimension instead of the words that we put here in this document. It says at present in their power. Those words are very, very key and very powerful words. You were not in your power, so you would probably have been around, on the streets and doing whatever, to get sustenance. And I'm not minimizing that, but what I am stating is that for those that are present in their power, they should be free. In their power, they should be free. I was one that was present in my power. But let me say this. Even when I freed myself, my consort did not know I was even coming home. I walked out of there in the snow with no shoes on and a jail suit on. I walked. I was so ready to get out of there. Didn't feel, they offered me some orange shoes to walk down the street, and it took everything for me not to just say a few more things, but only court actions were coming out of my mouth, at that time. So, again, at present in their power, because there are some, they don't care what they have to do, they don't want to be in there. Whether they'll find a place, they'll do what they got to do, and then they'll demonstrate. Now, when you talk about the people in this Congress, those that don't have a home, demonstrate the same way we've had to do. Demonstrate. That's what this Congress is for. It's not to wait until someone else does it. It's for us to do it. That's why this Congress is here. We're the ones demonstrating, among many other Moors. 98% of the ones that are in there, they don't care whether they have a place to stay or not. They don't want to be in there. They want to be out here because they already know that at some point, either the Spirit is going to lead them somewhere that they need to go, or they're going to come across some relatives or whatever the case may be. They know they'll be provided for. There are places that they could have gone, whether it be a shelter, whether it be a wherever it is. There are places they would have gone. They could have gone. Now, for some people, it's a scary thought to get out and not have a place to go, thinking they don't have a place to go on their own land. Okay. But 98% of them would take their chances out here rather than in there. 98%.
Islam. I may.
Justice Travis was going to go first, and then Justice Travis. Go ahead, Justice Travis.
Thank you, Empress. Let's just take a deep breath, Congress, and just think. Just think. When everybody was in the ones who was in there and the ones who weren't, just think when you're in there, you want to get out. You want to go, come and go as you please. Well, our ideal is we leave the prisons. We take the guards away from there. We open up the doors. They already know how to prepare the food for themselves. They already know how to run an institution. They can come and go in and out when they get ready and close their own door. They got a roof over their head and they got a place to eat. Only thing we got to do is clean the prisons, like we've been talking about, remove that from that, and until we can get a house and domiciles and all that stuff like Noble Phoenix was saying, they in there. Just that they close the door when they want to come in and go out. They can go out and look for a job or start a job until they get their own domicile. They can go right back in there, close the door, and they got a roof over their head. And you got to remember, all these private institutions that's being built, were built, and they still got plans to build more. Well, okay, we leave them, take them over, and say, now, you can go, come and go, look for a place to live or start your business or whatever. Until then, you can stay there. That way, we ain't worried about who got a roof over their head. I yield. Just a thought.
Justice Travis, I'm all 100 with that. Mm-hmm. I'm 100 with it. We just say the word and let the Spirit and the system do the job.
Mm-hmm. I affirm.
Islam, I affirm. And Islam, because reading on, it says, pending the release of such prisoners of war, the German authorities and people will protect them in their persons and property and provide them with adequate food, clothing, shelter, medical attention, and money in accordance with their rank of or official position. So I was thinking of a field of dreams, and it says, if you build it, they will come. And so even this title of Field of Dreams, we can go into that for hours. So we have built the apparatus and the coming of the resources of the domiciliaries, because even at New York, they are working, the subjects rather, they are working on doing the process of creating the places for the people to come and get places to stay and to find shelter. And so that is a direct correlation with the work that is being done all over the earth. And so what I know is that God that we will always provide, and because that is the law, that is nature. And so the fact that we have stated that in their power, because it is our power that we raise ourselves from the dead and set thyself free. The provision, man, I could talk about that because I penned a poem about that, provision versus provide. And so provision is already there. And by knowing the provision is there, you can then provide thyself with the necessary knowledge within your DNA to go get it. Because like I said, the provision is already there. You just have to tap in and just go get it. And so with that, I yield.
Islam.
Oh, just one moment. Empress Nirvana. No, not Empress Nirvana. Let's see. There was. State that again, Empress.
Navina.
Oh, Navina. Yes.
Okay.
And I apologize, Empress Navina. I know who you are. I apologize.
Abenah. But you're fine. You're fine, Empress. One of the things that came to mind as one of the nobles was suggesting is that
I can't hear her.
You can't hear me?
I can hear you. If everyone would mute for just a moment, I'm going to mute as well. That way we can be sure to hear her.
Okay. So as one of the nobles was suggesting, I was thinking in terms of as some of these facilities get emptied or people release themselves or they get released, those facilities, we could start converting them into, just as the noble was saying, into residential for temporary transition points, right? And while they're there, they can learn skills. Kind of like how they have the, you've heard of the Job Corps program?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah. I'm thinking in terms of when some of these places are getting emptied, they can actually be converted, create a temporary housing situation, until they can find permanent housing as they're learning skills.
Halfway house.
Transition, into society once again with skills.
Yes. Empress, that's a great idea. I also saw them, but I'm a little hardcore. I saw them as military training facilities, or for the empresses or whomever who want to just get in shape. Because I got in great shape while I was there, just so that you all know. Those are great places for discipline to be brought back into the forefront. Because in reality, that was the commission, as it were, for the previous era, was to quote unquote disciple, which means discipline the nations. That was their main commission. That is what you will hear if you ask them, what were you doing in the last era? Discipling nations or disciplining the nations. And we can discipline ourselves, actually. I happen to like military style trainings and things of that nature. And so, we could partially do that. There were a couple of other
Islam?
Nobles. Yes, Islam, Justice.
First, everyone seems scared to releasing these people to prison of war. But
not everyone.
What crime did the prisoner of war commit? And what is a crime?
None, nothing, no crime.
And there's a surplus. You're being charged. So if you have a charge, that's a credit to your estate. So why not use that credit to maintain those prisoners of war? Every prisoner of war have a credit. Germans, when they claim that the Germans had to choose as the prisoners of war, they had a credit. All know they still have a credit. So why not credit these prisoners of war? And you don't have to worry about their housing and how they can survive because they already have credit. They already have credit from their estate. When you go to jail, it's putting you on pause. It's telling you, the system is saying to you, you must relax when your where we could operate your estate for a couple of years. So where you're in jail, they operate your estate for these years and making money off it. Just a charge to your estate because you're the owner of your estate. Whether or not you believe that, whether you are more or not, are you over being indigenous or nationality, you still have that claim to your estate. Some people don't claim it after they're being released. So that part should take care of all people's business and their financial needs that they need to provide housing, food, whatever they need. I hear.
Islam, there's no lack of housing on our land. We must say the words so that the housing is available for them. All we have to do is say the word, provide the process by which they get it, and it happens. Now,
none of your
don't
shit
believe
never
that,
work in
and
the
for
real
those
world.
who don't believe that, for those who don't believe that, do the demonstration.
Islam.
And keep doing it. Islam, nobility.
Islam. I was a POW for a long time, and those people in there, they just want opportunity to heal their minds and their bodies, and that's a lot of us. That we're gonna need time to digest what's going on and look at everything for what it is, because everything is completely backwards from what we were raised or what we were taught, and some people's minds aren't going to be able to gather that right away. And I like what you guys are talking about is giving the support system. Support system also is getting these people trades that they can heal the body, learning to do the ground, learning how to garden, learning how to meditate, learning all these different things that will help them grow. And then their families. I think we got to reach out to a lot of these people's families or get them in contact with them, that where their families know they're there, that they have someone they can talk to, and if not have that, at least know some people around that they can talk to, because the mind is going to get lonely just because of the change, and you'll go into a dark place if you don't have something you can grab onto and at least give light to. And it's going to take us to really reach out and help these people, because some of those guys in there, they've seen the worst of the worst, and they don't feel they're worthy of anything. They're going to be down on themselves. So it's going to take us to demonstrate the light. And when I mean the light, I mean the love that we have. And there shouldn't be a reason to even think not letting these guys go. These guys, they were spit on, spat on, they were called names, you name it. It was done to them in there. Some people were human toilets. I mean, it's just terrible. And our first action has got to be with love. And that's all I got to say, Islam.
Islam.
Can't even get her conveyance.
Thank you, nobility, for that. Hearing it from you specifically, the noble that just spoke, hearing it from you specifically is even more reason why we're stating what we're stating about set them free. Hearing it from you specifically, okay, is key. That's key. Islam. He's got years of experience there, not just a few months. Years. Islam, Empress.
I just wanted to say that I think it is a good idea. I affirm the releasing of the prisoners. I also wanted to just say that if we can, if you need any type of ideas or anything like that, I know I'll put my life or my free time out there to try to help, as much as I can with making that easy for people to, gather. We have a lot of prisons here, and
oops. Go ahead, Empress.
We have a lot of prisons here in Colorado, so we're right where all of this is. And people go, I mean, you wouldn't believe what some of the things that people are locked up for is really ridiculous. Like driving traffic offenses and things like that. So it's like these people, people don't need to be in there. It's really bad, and I just don't want to become the second hand of who they're already held in there over now by dictating who goes and who don't go. Like the guy said, it should be a thing where open the doors. Let's see who can get out there and do this. And if we know people need extra help, we can maybe have people put in place that wouldn't mind doing that to help those people. But some people are ready to go. Some people got families. Some, what's up with those people that we can just send their families and say, go get your babies, go get this, go get that. Because there's a lot of people's babies in there right now.
Well, I'll say this too. There are some, listen, this is what we've always stated. Anything that's done with fear, with any type of negative emotion attached to it is not to be done. Now, having stated that, we have zero fear about stating for the record that they be set free. Zero fear about that.
I affirm.
Because, and the reason that I state that. Oh, go ahead, Nobility.
Islam. Well, that's a good statement right there based on the fact that I was just in a prison of war myself. And when you communicating with the young brothers that's in there, them brothers are conscious and they looking for guidance. See, so us taking this putting this on this frequency right here is what's going to free them. Because a lot of them I talk to that, they have little situations, they were in there for parking tickets, for what they call it, disorderly conduct, doing little things, having marijuana in their pocket, whatever, the de facto charge was. Now, check this one out. Think about all of the public servants that's bringing them into the institutions. Right? There's no injured party. Right? So since there's no injured party, we as being the heirs apparent in the council, right? This is why I posted in the chat, lien, levy, bond, acquisition, and cancellation. Yeah. Come on, it's all fraud. So that's what we can do. Those are more subjects, right? Our people. Now, as we do that, now we create the institutions. The institutions, like the brother Freeman stated earlier, that would be a good process. Right? Yeah. Islam, I hear.
Nobility, when you say that, in reality, Moors, and this is for all Moors to hear, in reality, they're all in there under false identity. That's against the law, no matter what they did. Think about that one.
Oh, you're right.
Islam.
Yep, it's fraud. Islam.
If I may say, just to go back maybe 3-4 minutes ago, the comment that Brother Phoenix was making about there's someone on this call within this Congress that's homeless, he's referring to me. But I keep going, with or without a roof. As I said, in January, I'm doing this for the children and those who have been incarcerated falsely. So yes, I'll sleep in the woods, but I'll also go to the library. Or I have to get internet and I'll go to a restaurant. I don't care. Because I know this is for the babies. So if you're not in this for the babies, you're in the wrong circle. If you're not in this to right the wrongs, you're in the wrong circle. So I do what I must do. And I'm grateful to my brother Earl for his assistance, Sister Light, Sister Sasha, Brother Dawood, and many others. And I'm thanking all of you for being strong. We must start, I repeat, we must start a ministry so we can get buildings, refurbish the buildings, because we have all the knowledge and the tradesmen and tradeswomen on this call. And you have family members that have this knowledge. All we got to do is get the building, refurbish the building, and make an example. So when these women and men come out of incarceration, we'll organize and we bring them in and restore them. And bring them right to their rightful place, Islam.
Noble Howard, I'm going to say this about what you just stated. Who would I want next to me if there's something that, if things went left. I don't want anybody who can only sleep on silk sheets if things were to, you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Not a bunch of whining, but somebody who's going to handle it.
Handle the business.
The business, because see, here's the thing. We are the key to our own problems. Nobody else is. And when I say we, I mean all of us together. We're the answer.
We're the answer.
To the issue, Noble Howard, that you just described.
Mm-hmm.
We're the answer to that. We just keep doing what we're doing, which is keep moving forward, keep making the law. Now, let me say this. There has been, and y'all know this, attempts to get us to be quiet and not state the law on the public record, because, see, we know once we state it on the public record, it's manifested. Noble Howard, those types of demonstrations that you're doing are not for the weak. They're for the strong to do. They're not for the weak. They're for the strong. The demonstrations that we have done, Empress Shasha and myself and anyone who's done a POW demonstration, Noble Phoenix and others, those are not demonstrations for the weak. They're for the strong.
Islam,
nobility.
You can count me in.
Islam, they're for the strong. We've all done them. Maybe some did shorter than others, longer than others. They're still for the strong. So only the strong will survive. What does that mean? That means everybody who hears this will survive. And not just survive. We're past surviving now. We're moving into thriving. And Noble Howard, that's why the fight has been what it's been. There have been those who've been trying to shut us up and get us to lock things up and shut down and be quiet. Nobody's paying attention, blah, blah, blah. They've been trying to give that impression, but we know better.
That's interesting you say that, because I've always been boots on ground kind of man, even as a younger man. I'm always among the people. I listen to the people, and I learn from the people, and I share what I know with the people. Let them know you're the government, not them.
Yes.
And they're now repeating this, we're the government. I say, yes, you're the government. So I don't really question, but I do, and I ask the ancestors, okay, now what do you want me to do next? I want you to share the information with the people, all the people. I'm looking at drugs. I'm looking at drug dealers. I'm looking at young people, old people on meth, on mollies out here in Tampa, Florida. And I know it's everywhere. So we have work to do. All of us. This is our calling. This is our mission. This is why we're here, to unpack and follow your mission, follow your spirit. It never fails us, the inner self. If it says, let's get this building, it's empty. I see 2 buildings, I'm going to lean and levy, right across the street from the public library. So me and Sasha, we moving together on this like a bird with both wings. And this is what the ancestors are showing me. There are other buildings here that just sit there empty, large buildings. So we take it, we refurbish the buildings, we bond the building up and all that. Then we can bring in the people. Even if we don't have the right staff, we just bring them with love.
We already have everything. We already have. We're not lacking anything.
Islam.
We're not lacking anything except thinking that we were missing something. But other than that, we're not missing anything.
Yes. Thinking we do. Yes.
Islam.
Islam.
By us freeing our brothers and sisters that's in prisoner of war, we are freeing the so-called correctional officers too, because when I did my demonstration, the lost look on these correctional officers that were doing their job just because it was a job. A lot of them seen that it was wrong, but they would sit out in their cars on breaks or forced to do double shifts when they had family at home. So by us freeing all prisoners, we're freeing them as well, because by them being correctional officers in these facilities, they're prisoners as well. And a lot of these facilities are not giving their prisoners water. That's unheard of. They're not getting water. You have to pay for it.
Which is that's not even human rights right there. That's not even human rights. So why don't we go ahead and put this on the record? Because see, again, once the spell is cast, no one is free to not obey the law. The Congress speaks. And then those at present in their power. So shall we state this, Congress?
Islam. And it states, who the sun sets free is free indeed.
Indeed. Okay.
Stated.
Islam. So we hear
Islam
nobility.
Islam.
Yes, I would just like to speak. I am a Rahman Sharaki, and I am a Bey. I would like to speak to my fellow Congress. The decisions that I think we should make is based on principles and not personal perspective or idle fears of the past era. And I think many things that people are speaking about is personal and not from the rule of law, which the universal law governs all. So since we know that everyone is incarcerated illegally, unlawfully, they don't have no right to be there, they automatically should be set free. And if you're on the side of doing the right thing, then you're on the principles of what's right, not trying to decide who's right. It's not who's right, who's wrong, it's what's right. And if you know they've done wrong, then your decision already decided on doing the right thing to correct it and not worry about what happens later, because they got no right to be there, no reason to be there in the beginning.
Nobility, I affirm that, and that's the reason why, because one thing about this Congress, just one moment, one thing about this Congress is that we always, yes, we talk about things and we have our discussions, and sometimes feelings do come into play with that. However, as you can see, one of the main things we highlighted is the law regarding the identities of those.
That's what we do all the time. You knew.
We always point to the law. We always point, and we make our decisions based on the law. But we still want to hear from the Congress and hear what people have to say about it, because we get to know each other even better that way. So we were going to state that anyway, nobility, just because when the law is stated, it's the law. And because we're the law, we do that. That's how we roll here. That's what makes this Congress so powerful.
Fake fucks. They're not law. They're policies.
Yeah.
And policy is not law.
And we're the real law. Right, Noble Howard?
That's right.
We're the real law.
We're the law. If we say so, we're the law.
Yes.
I'm a Bey, and I say we're the law.
Yes.
Unless you're doing the work on the ground with the people, then you're giving rhetoric. You got to get out of it among the people.
Yeah.
That's
indeed.
Governing Islam.
Yeah. That's what that's the POW demonstrations and things that we've done is proof. So with that being stated, we are all
I have a point.
We are all about the law here. And we're going to continue to point to the law the same way that we did earlier and are doing now. Noble Willie, Islam.
Greetings, Emperor. How are you doing?
Greetings.
From time to time, we come on this platform on a Sunday, and I do appreciate you're like a voice in the wilderness on behalf of the Moors, because I don't see a lot of this happening I'm here in Canada. I even gave my offer myself to, lead up the pact, and one of the most significant thing I've learned from animal behavior is that if animals if animals, can you allow me to finish, sir, please? I just have some respect and just don't anticipate. Just listen. Animals, we can learn a lot from them. When the lion single out individual buffaloes or whatever animal they're trying to catch and eat, they have to single them out, and they are vulnerable, like the wildebeest. However, when the wildebeest combine themselves together, that lion go hungry. Point I'm making is we need proper togetherness, unity, leadership, organization coming together. Let's say something goes wrong with one of us. We should have accountability to each other. If I don't hear from my brother or my sister after a day or two, I must get concerned, because some of us people, we live by ourselves. If something should happen to us, it's days upon days. Maybe we're in prison, whatever. We're lost somewhere, and nobody really cares. So what I'm trying to say is we need to have a unity, a coming together, that when you touch one, you touch all. Because it's nice to come here Sunday after Sunday and to say the right words and to say all the nice things. But at the end of the day, when I take up that phone and I'm calling my sister, I'm calling my brother, and the line is dead, it's just like a waste. We're just going in a circle. And one of the things that the system has perfected over the years, they have perfected the art of uniting in evil. And when they unite and they create systems and structures to govern and control us, that's what the matrix is about, control. So we have to learn how to get ourselves together, form teams, form accountability, form friendship, form unity, that when you touch one, you touch all. And I don't see that among us, and I really wish for the day when we were not just saying, oh, I'm the government. No, we are collectively the government. We are collectively brothers and sisters. We are collectively should be holding hands across the Gulf, no matter where you are in the world. There are, 66 of us here right now. We should be able to form an alliance and a concern that when one another brother, like I hear the talk about somebody may be in jail for a traffic ticket, all of us need to let our voices be heard, and we write whatever, whether it's an affidavit, habeas corpus, whatever it is, and we sign. We have a conference meeting. It's not just on a Sunday. You are here, doing the best you can, and I do appreciate it. But we need, there's just that weakness I see among us Moors, and I wish for the day when this dream of mine of unity is realized. Thank you very much.
Islam. So thank you for that, Noble Willie. I appreciate that. First and foremost, know that it's good to hear your voice, by the way. Let me say this briefly about that. I'm only going to be very brief about that. Many people think that it takes thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people in order for them to feel like they're unified. And they're not going to come and attend a Congress with 66 or 70 people on it, because it's not enough people for them to feel unified. It's not enough people for them. All well and good, but this Congress goes on. We're unified. We're putting it on the public record. We've been putting it on the public record, and we're going to continue to put our unity on the public record. When you hear this Congress speak, we're speaking with one voice, and we're going to keep going with that. And we don't need 50,000 on this one call, even though it might even be that many, because we know they play with the numbers. All it takes at earth is 2 sovereigns to agree. That's biblical. Where 2 or 3 come together and speak the same thing, every word is established. That's unity. So for us, we're unified here. We don't know about anybody else out there, and that's listen, these calls are open. This is Congress. It's open for all congressional people, particularly of the bloodline and birthright. Subjects have their place here as well, and they know that. So with that being stated, we're unified. We're going to stay unified. We've come together. We're going to do what we're doing. This is governing, because see, people don't even know what governing looks like. They still think that it's something else. This is what governing looks like. It's voting, it's agreeing, it's disagreeing, but still coming together. Yes, all Moors are government. We've said that a million times. That's truth. That's just a basic truth. All Moors are the government. I'll tell you that. We have decided that we're going to continue to demonstrate government for those who don't know it, because clearly many don't know it. Islam in pursuit.
So let me just do a follow-up question to you, Taj. So one of our brother or sister is in trouble. Mm-hmm. Who can they take up the phone and call and say, hey, I'm in trouble, I need some help, can you help me? During the week when there's no Congress, who can they call?
If they can't reach anyone, they are the ancestors returned. They must go within, because I can assure you, every one of us has been or will be tested where there's no one you can call, there's nowhere, you can't reach your phone. Even if you had it, you can't reach it. You must still know what to do, because guess what? There's this word that we all use that we seem to forget sometimes when something happens and you're looking for someone to call. Let me show you that word here on the screen, because this is so important. That's a great question. Here's the word right here. Just a moment. It's right here. See, everybody's running around talking about their sovereign. Sovereign this and sovereign that. This doesn't say that you pick up the phone and call someone else. It says a person, body, or state in which independent and supreme authority is vested. A chief ruler with supreme power, a king or other ruler, and they're saying with limited power, but we know that's not true. It's supreme power. It can't be limited and supreme at the same time. What am I saying? I'm saying that anyone who needs assistance, they must first go within and trust that the ancestors within them, because that's why blood is so important. That's why the blood is so powerful, because it's going to tell you exactly what to do when you can't reach anyone. You're never alone. You always have the entire ancestral body within you. That's first. That's number one. Because when people are pulling folks, when in their enactment from the last era, they pull somebody over on the side of the road. Sometimes they can't reach a phone. They don't have a phone. They can't. You think those people care? Those persons care that you can't reach anybody? No, they're going to do a court action in their enactment anyway. So what do? We continue to share the great sovereign information that we must do court actions everywhere we go. That way, I didn't have to pick up the phone and call anyone. Most of us couldn't call someone when we were being tested. So we had to pull from our spirit and then demonstrate, period. Because that's really what this is all about. Are you sovereign or not?
Islam.
Empress Rose.
Yes. Earlier you were speaking about the delegation of authority, requesting that doesn't work. Can you expound on that?
The purpose of the document is to ask them to show that they have delegation of authority. That's the purpose of the document. Am I correct?
Yes. Will you let Earl in the conference as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So the purpose of that document is to ask them if they have delegation of authority. Now, I'm not saying that the document doesn't work. Because, see, you're still asking questions, and the one that is asking the questions is as the king. So you do want to ask the questions. What we're stating is don't expect them to give you one.
Right.
That's all we're saying. We're not saying anything wrong with the process. We're not saying anything wrong with the document. We're saying they don't have it because we didn't give it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the answer.
Okay.
Islam.
How about this? Instead of asking, bring forth your delegation of authority orders before me. That's a command. That's not asking. So you can speak that way because I've done it before, and they just shut down and walk away. Islam.
And see, therein lies the difference. That your command means that they don't have it, and that when they don't have it, they have to be quiet. They're muted. Period. A command, and even again, asking, do you have a delegation of authority? If so, present it. Because they can't even present. They were representing everything.
Islam. I just wanted to say that one thing I know about our people is that we're very, very, very. We've been put through a lot of tests, and we've been put through a lot of stress, and our time, as long as I've been alive, have been a lot of healthy struggle, I say, because it's always taught us that we can make it through things, and we do have certain blood in our bodies that help us come through anything that we need to come through. When there's not a way, we always make a way. When there's not, we don't have a vision for tomorrow, but I bet you tomorrow happens, and I bet you we make it through it. So
we've been here for trillions of years, trillions.
Yes, and what they've done is they prepared us for this, because giving us no opportunities and things like that gave us the power to and opened our brain into learning how to overcome a lot of things, and that's what's going to help us do this the best.
We affirm every word that came out of your mouth, God. We affirm that, indeed. So now let me make this statement, Article 6, because we're obviously not going to make it through this document, but we'll continue because it's very powerful, and these conversations must be placed on the record. Okay? We're going to state, is there anyone opposed? And Noble Phoenix did state that he's not opposed to us setting them free. He just voiced his opinion, his experiences about that, and we honor that. Is there anyone opposed to us making this statement? And we're going to make it anyway because it's the law, because they're all in there under false identity. So we must make it. Islam. Article 6. This living government. Who are the authorities? State in accordance with the law. And it's not even in accordance with the law, it's actually the law. State the law that all being held at present in their power are hereby set free. Just one moment. The government does command a full list of our persons, and it should be all persons, indicating the places of their previous detention. The government and people will protect them in their persons and property and provide them with adequate food, clothing, medical shelter, medical attention, and money in accordance with their official position. Islam, all in favor of Article 6, and I'm making an exception here that we publicly, on the public record, affirm this article. Islam.
I affirm.
Islam.
Islam, Angelica Yvette Dobbs Bay at New York Territory, I affirm.
If you could
Article
put
6 with expression.
Affirm.
Michael Nwabiki Bay.
I affirm.
Mississippi Territory.
Love Ibn Allah.
Islam, yes.
New York Territory, I
Justice
affirm.
Cynthia Bay, I affirm.
Louisiana. Noble Timothy Hassan Bay, definitely affirm the law.
Bay. I affirm.
Bonus Alabama Bay, Territory.
Islam, I affirm. Empress Reign, Georgia Territory, I affirm.
Empress Aisha L. Bay, Michigan Territory, I affirm.
Salima Bay at Virginia Republic, I affirm.
Rahman Shiraki Bay, I affirm.
Territory, I affirm.
Michael Nwabiki Bay, Mississippi Territory, I affirm.
Chief Justice Howard Victor Lloyd Hill Bay, XRL, Florida Territory, I affirm. But also, can you add in the word liberty in the narrative? Close to freedom. Islam.
Islam, Noble Phoenix, Mika Ill, I affirm.
Islam.
Islam, Harold Mujah Bay, Memphis Territory, I affirm.
Did you hear me, baby?
Islam.
Islam, Love Ibn Allah Bay at New York Territory, I affirm.
Islam.
Yaqub Ali, Maryland Territory, affirm.
Islam.
Affirmation.
Robert Dars Bay, Georgia Territory, I confirm.
Islam.
Nawe Annalise Israel Bay, Florida Territory, I affirm.
Thank you, Empress. Islam.
Islam. Sheikh Al-Claim Bay, Penal Lands, affirm.
Islam.
Islam, Earl Julian Lloyd Hale, I affirm. Krypton Territory.
Islam. Anyone else?
Tajiri L. Trinidad Territory, I affirm.
Thank you, nobility.
Khalil Mohammed Bay, Trinidad Territory, I affirm.
Islam.
You voted? Yeah. Islam. Islam.
Islam, nobility.
Leanna Barber.
Islam.
Go ahead, Empress, why not? And then Justice Leander. Go ahead, Empress, why not? Empress at Canaan land, go ahead.
Sharnet L. Kinalan. Affirm. I affirm.
Islam. Oh, thank you, Empress. I was stating the wrong appellation. Thank you. Go ahead,
Okay.
Justice Leander.
Yes. Leander Barber, Georgia Territory. I affirm.
Islam.
I affirm.
Islam.
Oh, okay. Another.
Justice Consul, was that you, UK Territory, United Kingdom?
Yes. United Kingdom.
Islam.
I affirm.
Islam. Thank you. Ooh. Y'all know I'm just overwhelmed because I know that it's happening already, even as we speak. It's absolutely in alignment with what we stated 3 or 4 years ago by video. One of the first video court actions that we did was to set the captives free. And we've taken into account all of the information about particularly the mental state of our brothers and sisters, because some will need some counsel and some recovery. We know that. However, at law, they were never supposed to be there in the first place. With that being stated, this sovereign justice stands and is the law. And if it's okay with the Congress, if we could, we'll pause this document here and pick back up on Thursday, this coming Thursday, Thursday's Congress, and we'll continue on. Islam, Empress.
Islam, can I?
Islam, yes, indeed.
Thank you. Ready for it. Good night.
Islam.
Islam.
Empress
Islam.
Navina. Empress Navina. Islam. Thank you, nobilities.
Yes.
Just one point of when we talk about mental state of our brothers and sisters who, upon release, they were needing. Because one of the things that I think that I don't know, because like I said, I was only here overnight, so I don't really know the true culture. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But from my experience having 2 encounters up close with 2 individuals, one, I just had been visiting Jamaica briefly. I don't think I was there for a full 2 weeks, but I was visiting someone in another area in Jamaica in Spanish Town. I think I was there maybe 2 days. And the 2 trips I made down the street to a local shop, there's an individual that was there. He's not a Jamaican, but I think he's under the witness protection program is what I kind of gathered from speaking to others. He didn't seem to have respect for personal space, right? I'd not laid my eyes on this man prior, and I'm there at this shop, and he was hanging out, and he's invading my personal space physically. Okay, that was one experience. A second one.
And was this regarding incarceration or
yes,
such as what we're?
He was one, but he got released, I think, under some type of agreement. But he was, because he wasn't a Jamaican. He spoke with like an American accent. So, and somebody said he may be under a witness protection program. Okay, that was the word I got. So I experienced that with that individual, and a second individual I had an experience with was I'm here and at my home, and I was getting ready to leave and just wherever I was going at that moment. I was driving, heading east, and my house is I was heading west, and my house is on the east end of the street. As I'm driving and leaving, heading down the road, I'm looking in my rearview mirror. I'm seeing this individual on the sidewalk, and this individual I've never ever seen before, was walking up into my yard, and I had to, and I know my daughter had just stepped back into the house, and he may have seen her, and I had to make a U-turn, right? Because the spirit within me said, make a U-turn. Because, because my daughter has a tendency, she just pull the door behind her, no concern, no locking door, none of that. She just do that. And this individual is walking towards my house. But anyways, long story short, whatever his aim was, wasn't successful. Later that evening, this individual returned at dark, knocking on my door, I guess to see my daughter, that she doesn't know, he doesn't know her, he just seen her, right? And so she was about 18 at the time. And so basically, fortunately, my cohort at the time was home at that time when he came back at night, and that stopped that. So that's one thing I noticed, that they may have an issue with personal space boundaries.
They who?
People who probably have gotten released. I don't know if how long they've been there, and what that situation is. That may need to, in the counseling phase, that may need to be brought back into their scope of thinking.
That's a possibility to listen. We have the authority and the know-how to assist our brothers and sisters in whatever way they need it. The last time my personal space was invaded was by uniformed persons. So they need the training too. I'm just saying.
I agree.
So those are not excuses, in my opinion. And I'm not saying you were making excuses, but I'm saying those are, our brothers and sisters are free. They are hereby set free. Because
counseling.
Of course. And you know what, Empress? Because that was brought to your attention that way, and also more importantly, because this is what I heard out of what you said, what stood out the most is that the Spirit told you to go back. And then because you listened to the Spirit, nothing happened. And so, in my opinion, and it's not an opinion, it's natural law. As long as we continue to listen to the Spirit in all things, we're protected. We're protected. And I'll say this. You see that statement there? It says the government will, and people will protect them in their persons and property and provide them with superior food, clothing, shelter, medical attention, and money. The fact that they put that statement or one similar to that in the original document tells me who really needed the protection. It's actually saying that the prisoners needed the protection and not the people out on the street, according to international law. So, a lot of that is to be thought about as we're doing what we're doing. And and hopefully what I'm stating is not coming across as insensitive. My point being is that as we continue to do exactly what you did, you listened to the Spirit, and the protection was right there. By your own words, the Spirit said, turn back, you turned back, and everyone was safe.
Yes, Islam. I am in a full agreement with what you're saying. Okay, and I know it's the exposure of what they experience when they're in these situations, in these facilities. Because I've seen, and I don't know if you've seen this, but I've seen that one guy. He's his name is Michael Moore, right? And he has done a documentary and shown how the prison system over in Europe, in certain places, how they basically, some of them are like, they're in these places that are like dorm rooms. They have access to everything from education, the whole 9 yards. And it's like, then they can get a weekend reprieve to go home to see their family and all this other stuff. But they're supposed to be doing time. And so they come up with a different mindset. And so, the system that they have set up here is horrible. It's horrible. Very horrible. And we need to put an end to it.
And that's what this does. That's what the vote just did. It just did that. We just did that. We just did that. We just put an end to it.
Yep.
We know our power. Now, hear my words. Over the next days, weeks, and so on, you're going to see all types of stories come out in the media about how they're letting people out and letting people out and letting people out and letting people out. We affirm our own sovereign authority to state that and to manifest it. With that being stated, I'm looking here, and this is the article that we just restated, but it does indeed say here the German authorities and people will protect them in their persons and property and provide them with blah, 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 blah. So apparently, even in Germany and other places, Europe, as you were just stating, when the people come out, it's the ones who've been incarcerated that need the protection and the assistance from the people on the out that are already out and free. We affirm that as well. That we have the authority and to protect them until such time. Those who don't know that they're Moors, we've already made arrangements for them as protege Moors until they come into the knowledge of themselves. Islam.
This also rung in my spirit. This also will put an end to the unlawful seizure of people from, them enacting, the point of putting them even in the POW camp. So the system in which the policy enforcers were enacting their jokes will do a 180 in that regard immediately as well. I can already see that by the restatement of Article 6, by the way, is the matriarch number as well. And so, so from that perspective, I can see the disbanding of the police state, as it were, from the deep state to New York, where it's also known as the gangs of New York. All of that is going to be, just affected as far as the change 180 degrees.
Islam, can I add something quickly? I think those people need to be retrained to be intervention counselors, or be willing to be able to continue to have employment if they choose to.
Islam. We agree. We affirm, Empress Nabi, that they move into an assistive role. Islam. And in peacetime, all offices are peaceful roles of assistance. Islam.
All I have to say, may our ancestors guide us all through this week, and we be able to make our documents work and have the courage to create and dismantle this corporation and free ourselves. May your ancestors guide us and protect us and teach us, and we will be successful in everything we do. Ashe.
Ashe, and I will state, because here's the thing: we are all the mouths of our ancestors. We're assisting, we're affirming, and the way is clear. Let's do this. We are our ancestors returned, indeed. With that being stated, we will continue this documentation on the next Congress as well, and we'll add a few things to it as well. Noble Phoenix had asked about the proper exchange process. Let's see. There are a couple of things in the chat that I would like to not overlook. Let's see. There's someone wanting to speak after the meeting for. Is there someone in the chat, someone at Congress who's willing to speak with Colorado Territory regarding things going on at Colorado Territory by email or text message? Is there someone on Congress? Islam?
Noble Phoenix.
Islam.
Reach out to me via email with your phone number, and I will contact you tonight.
Islam.
And Nobility, that Noble Phoenix's email, do you have it there?
I'm looking now.
Islam. Thank you, Noble Phoenix. It's important that that we connect. Something Noble Willie said earlier about unity and connection and coming together, this is what it looks like. It doesn't look like a whole big parade and fanfare and all of that. It's the everyday, day-to-day, us coming together, governing. That's what government looks like. That's what unity looks like. It looks like this. Needs to be or coercion, threat, duress clause, please, for the agents at all levels. Empress Sarai, you're talking war language there. We would suggest that you go within a little more often. I will say this, people who make those types of statements, and I'm not downing your statement, I'm just addressing it, spend a whole lot of time in the funny mirror. I'm just going to be real with you. You got to come out of the funny mirror. You must come out of the funny mirror. You must. Anything that causes fear, depression, anger, whatever it is, that's funny mirror stuff because you're God. Islam. So, go ahead, Empress Sarai.
I'm not trying to be dismissive. It's just the reality of what I face on a daily basis.
It's not reality, though. It's not reality. It's not reality. I apologize that it sounds like I'm dismissing what you call reality, but it's not like I have not been there. I have been there. It's not reality. So your ability to see the truth of who you are is found in the law. You must look at the law and know that the law is real and that what you've been seeing is not real. It's not real. It's not real. I break that spell over you. It's not real. Islam.
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 This is Chief and Justice Howard, the Big Dog Lord Ill. Is there anyone on this call in what we call the Florida territory besides myself and Noble Phoenix that would like to collaborate with us? If so, you could contact Noble Phoenix's email is there, or you can contact myself. My email is there on the site here, because we're looking, and the ancestors are asking us to ask you to invite. We need other gods on the land in this territory, and you're always welcomed. Islam.
Islam. This is Noah in Elise Bay. I am in Tampa territory.
And so am I. There's my email there, Howard Victor Rayford Lloyd, Howard Invictus at yahoo.com. Please email me and give me your phone number, your contact, however you feel comfortable, because we have work to do on the land.
Islam.
especially the mothers. Islam.
Islam. Yemaya Day. Do I have to be in your territory in order to participate?
Not necessarily. It would be more preferred, but no, all of these are our territories.
Islam.
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 Is there anyone else?
Islam. This is Abina, and I do domicile in Florida, in St. Petersburg.
I apologize. The tone volume is so low.
She said she's at St. Petersburg. It's Empress Avina.
Avina. Yes, Avina. Please reach out to me, please. So, because we need to create a staff of us on this land, because it's our territory, it's our land. We got to clean it up so we can get buildings. So when our people come out, we can help secure them and give them purpose, restore them, wipe all their tears away. Because I'm really in the background trying to hold my tears back. Because a lot of us have loved ones who have gone through this, even on this call. That's our mission, to heal our people, to heal the land. It's fun.
I will say this about any demonstrations and anyone who wills to assist others. Let me please state for the record that you must help yourself first before you can help anyone else. You must save yourself. This I'm from firsthand experience. That is actually what our Prophet Noble Drew Ali stated. He gave us everything to save a nation. Now take it and save ourselves. Everyone know that. Because that's your greatest testament as to whether something works or not. I know that everything that we stated works. I know that because I've had to demonstrate it. So let's keep that in mind. And Florida territory, you all are coming together. It seems there was another empress, I believe, who was speaking. Was there another empress that wanted to join with the Florida Congress? Okay, I thought I had heard another empress. We must save ourselves. We cannot depend on. There's no knight in shining armor coming. We are the knights in shining armor, first for ourselves and then for our brothers and sisters and our nation. With that being stated, good evening. Would any elder be willing to speak briefly? Randy, Charlene.
Don't forget the proper exchange.
The proper exchange. Islam. I'm wanting to make sure that I get. Is there still no one from Alabama? Anyone from Alabama territory as well? Empress Camilla. Please connect with Empress Camilla in the chat. Together. Georgia territory, Empress Rain. And Empress Rain, you can also get with the Florida Congress as well. Even though you're at Georgia territory, you can also meet with the Florida Congress. Florida, you're going to get you're growing very quickly here.
Islam. We also have Anajulia, which we call Georgia.
Yes.
We're spreading through that territory so fast with court actions and liens and bonds. Islam.
Justice Kyle is giving his information in the chat as well. So Justice Howard, if you want to add him to your list. Let's see. Can you state your email again? Empress Nevaeh, did you get the email that you were looking for in the chat?
I did not.
Whose email was it that you said you wanted someone to state their email again?
Justice Howard?
Islam.
Islam.
Justice Howard, did you want to make sure that Empress Camille gets your email?
Yes, it's Howard, H-O-W-R.
Empress Nevaeh, rather. Islam.
Empress Nevaeh. It's Howard, H-O-W-R-D, Invictus. It's INVICTUS at yahoo.com. That's Howard Invictus at yahoo.com.
Justice Markel, we have our flags up here. We have a 20-foot flag here at Moorish American Consulate West. Let's see, Georgia Territory, state by. There's other, Empress Abina. We see you in the chat there as well.
And we united also Jamaica's territory with Florida and Georgia's territory. Islam,
indeed. Okay. So now explain the proper exchange. The proper exchange, Noble Phoenix, is the same things you would do when you're purchasing a domicile at closing. The things you would do at closing, the funds and the documents are all together. And the bank receives the funds, and in many cases it was a realtor receiving the funds, but you would be either one of those yourself, whichever you choose to be. Just ensure that that an exchange goes on the public record. There are two ways to put an exchange. There's really 1,000 ways to put an exchange on the public record. But the two ways that we suggest with regard to putting the money on the public record is either to publish with Moorish Sovereign Dollarium on the public record the paperwork and copies of the Moorish Sovereign Dollarium. And when you put the Moorish Sovereign Dollarium on the public record, you can either sign them or not sign them. Some don't want their signature on the Moorish Sovereign Dollarium on the public record. You can just put them on the public record just to show that, yes, money has exchanged with regard to that place. And then a receipt must be issued. So you would issue the receipt saying that the money was received either by the bank or by the realtor. Okay, that's one way to do it. Another way to do it, or in addition to that, or you can do both if you choose, is to mail that same set of documentations, and then you'll have to autograph and write red thumbprint your Moorish Sovereign Dollarium for that domicile and mail it to the right place. The right place being our courts, either at the bank or at the realty company, meaning no zip code on the address, and anyone, whoever it is that was acting as CEO, would be the subject, listed as the subject with regard to that address. So you would send, again, Moorish Sovereign Dollarium and the records for that exchange.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty much the outline that I was working from, but I just wanted to, state with clarity for the record that I was on track and, that I had it right. You did give me at least one or two updates right there. So, but I had the general idea correct. So I'm just going to follow through with that, and I'll report back to Congress once I'm completed with this, what I'm doing.
Islam.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Are there any other questions, comments, or wisdom from this Congress
Islam. I have a question. It's in regard to, is it necessary, because I'm doing a similar demonstration with the DeLorean, the printing aspect of it, do we have to, once we print it, is it necessary to cut it? Just like you would do any currency paper? Can we leave, or can we leave it on the paper as is, printed back in front?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it as long as it's, as whoever receives it when they cut it, it's proper, then you can leave it as is. We highly suggest that you cut it beforehand, so that, because see, to have someone else alter it is not, because some are actually going to be putting it in cash registers or in slots, in money slots.
10-4.
Thank
you, Islam.
One last thing. Islam.
In terms of the cover sheet, I noticed that the corresponding sovereign security number was yours, and it brought me to a couple of questions, like, do we make it ours? And
yes.
Then with the thank you, and with the corresponding for locations, I noticed that you live in Washington, correct?
I live at Washington. I live in my body, but I
get it. So that's So I was wondering, with some of those mailing locations, does it matter if it's like our territory, or was the demonstration that you did sufficient? Like, I'm just kind of confused there.
Whatever your spirit says for that, you can do it. Mine doesn't have to be on there. It's just there for Moors who maybe don't have at the time they're demonstrating an address for themselves, so they can use this one. But whatever your spirit says. Okay. We affirm all that you do.
And lastly, with the silver situation and the driver's license, I wasn't sure, like, did we have to, like, do the process to nationalize the silver, and then also what was the amount of silver?
I've received 1 silver coin. I've received 13 silver coins. I've received, multiple. Whatever your spirit says, as long as it's species, we're okay with that. And as long as it's species.
Gratitude.
Islam.
Islam, Empress. Okay, I know I need to take a closer look at the paperwork in relation to foreclosure and all that. I've handled this 2 years ago, and here they're back again. But sending the delirium, I understand you saying that we either send it to the bank, or where did you say to send it again?
Either the bank, or in the case of the question, a realty company. Yes. However, you must also issue a receipt stating that the bank or the realty company received the money, because you're that too. And you can send all of that together, knowing that you're addressing a court there at the bank or a court there at the realty company, because they were all doing court actions.
Okay. My dilemma is this, though. We're talking about over 20 years later, and these various actors popping in saying, "Oh, I'm the new mortgage company. I'm the new mortgage company." So I'm probably like on the 4th so-called mortgage company, and so I would have to probably go and do my research to try to figure out where would I send it to, because this latest actor on the block came on board, I think, in like January 2021, and I have...
Athena, you're extremely low. I want to hear what you're saying. I can't hear. Sorry to interrupt.
I can hear her fine, but go ahead. Speak up, Empress, if you could.
Right. I'm doing my best. I've got you on the speaker on my phone. I mean, on my car. So I think that's maybe an issue. But the thing is, I'm trying to figure out where would I send this with this actor who came on board in January. I've never had any exchange with them. I've not sent them a cent. Because I don't have a contract with them. And so I'm trying to figure out where would I send this.
What is it that you're sending? Is it a lien, a levy, a bond? What is it?
Okay, I know this is the paperwork where I'm sending as far as the funds. I know where the paperwork goes. The funds, saying
okay.
The real estate company or the bank. I'm not sure because this is 20 plus years later. Where would I send it to? And these aren't the original actors who I had business relations with.
So basically, you wouldn't send it to them because they're not a party to anything. So you're going to place it on the public record. That's what that is my suggestion. Place it on the public record and address it to the subjects in the office of whomever it was that the original contract was with, except you're the CEO of that company now because they're out of business really anyway. So what you're doing is showing on the public record that a proper exchange has taken place. You're not really even doing business with them. You're not really talking to them. And all you're doing is showing that on the public record, anyone can pull up the public record and see that an exchange has taken place on the public record regarding your domicile and the market value thereof.
Okay.
So placing it on the public record would be publishing it anywhere, wherever the public can see it. Social media, anywhere where the public can see it. You just publish it on the public record. If you don't have social media presence, then whoever, again, look at the original contract, but make sure that you send it to the proper court. You can't send it to a place that has a 2-letter state. So, for example, if it was in North Carolina or whatever the case may be, or Florida, you cannot send it to any address that has FL as the state, because that's not a state. You must send it to the land state. So if it was, let's say, Tampa, Florida, where the original company was, then you would have to spell Florida out just like we're doing on the screen here. And then if it's let's say 123 Divine Street, you would spell street all the way out. Don't use any abbreviations of any kind. And then the name of the company, if it's ABC, if it's Alpha Mortgage Company, spell everything all the way out. And then whoever it is that's in the office of CEO, you would put the word subject, colon, and then John, or whoever he is, whoever is in that office. Okay? So this is how you speak to the right address and the right court that acknowledges that they're on the land. Okay, this is a subject in your office of CEO. You're not going to call him a CEO. You're not going to say anything like that. You'll just say subject, John Smith. The difference between this and, let's say, this right here is a dead entity. This is not a real thing. This is not real. But many of them will do this. If you address anything to them, then the fakes are going to try and talk to you and call and show up and all of that. When you address it to the proper address here, this is a land address right here. We have streets, we don't have stuff, because that's not a thing. And then it would be somebody talking about this right here. That's not real. None of this is real. See, this is in a fake dead debtor's trust. It's called a cetus trust. All addresses that look like this, that have abbreviations and whatever, you know, CEO like that, anything like that is a dead trust. It's dead. It's not living. The living trusts everywhere at earth have everything spelled all the way out, and they know who they are. Islam.
May I ask a question?
Islam.
May I ask a question?
Yes, Islam.
Yes, Empress. So, you know, you have these people, sometimes they will send you court papers, and if you ignore it and do not reply to them or respond to them, they'll tell you that, well, if you don't respond, they'll have a default judgment against you, then they can garnish your whatever and do all kind of action against you. What would be your suggestion in handling situations like that?
Okay. The first thing I would state is to look at the address of where it's coming from and where it is they want you to go. Okay? Look at that first, because without ever seeing it, I'm going to tell you what it looks like. It's going to have a bunch of capital letters, a bunch of black ink, and a bunch of abbreviations in it. That's not a real court. So whenever it's like that, and it's always going to be like that for those who are dealing with that particular test. So again, same thing that I just explained to Empress Sabina. When you respond, you're not responding to the fakes that sent the thing. You're responding to their masters, which is on the land, which is us, the people, by spelling everything out and stating who you are. So you send your affidavit to this place, wherever the place is, wherever the fake court. You're gonna turn it into an Article 3 court by properly addressing the court. Okay. Just a little bit of background about that, Justice Willie. You're going to respond. You're not going to ignore, except you're going to address the proper court. Now, the reason we're saying what we're saying about the address is for this reason right here. Right here. This is Black's Law Dictionary on the screen. It says address. Right here under equity, because see, you're going to be speaking to an equity court, which is you, really. It says equity, where address is concerned, part of a bill wherein is given the appropriate and technical description of the court in which the bill is filed. So, Empress Sabina, when you're talking about foreclosure and pretend evictions and all of that acting, you don't want to speak back to actors. You want to speak to the land, the court, okay? The address must be equitably written, okay? It must be, so that, because I don't care who it is, it's still a court. So, Noble Willie, when you send whatever your rebuttal is, in other words, you're really just going to be properly identifying yourself and properly identifying that court. Okay? Because again, you're not talking to the dead, you're talking to the living. And when you speak to the living, no, don't use any abbreviations, don't use any acronyms, don't use any of that. Spell everything out. And when you spell everything out, the dead cannot respond to that. It's the living that will respond to it. The system is a living system. Noble Willie. So we don't ignore that. What we do is we properly address who we are and who they are. And that is how those are handled.
Excellent, excellent. And I usually shut them down with a few questions like, where's your title? Where's your license to practice law in my land? And what's your delegation of authority? What's your security bond? And stuff like that. I have a few questions that they just disappear when I ask them about 7 questions, So I was just picking your brain, thank you very much for the response. Excellent.
What you're doing is absolutely correct. Also, we tend to stop right at identity because that's personam jurisdiction. Moors who once personam jurisdiction is properly established, then we go into the questions and things like that. So,
right.
You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Whenever we do, we keep it simple and properly establish the identities. Okay, first, and then for Moors who have properly identified themselves and properly identified who it is that's speaking, then we go into the questions. And we always ask 3 questions. We ask 3 questions in our court actions, which we've been doing that for years, and it always works. The first question being, what is your name? And I do that even like out at the grocery stores and other places when it's necessary. I will ask, what is your name, to anyone before I even speak to them about anything or ask any questions. I ask, what is your name? They're always going to have a name. And anyone who identifies themselves by a name instead of an appellation, that means that they have yielded to your jurisdiction.
That's right. And the first question, Islam Lover bin Allah Bey, that I asked him is based on the same lines as you, Empress. Who are you?
Yes.
By what right do you, want to try to infringe on my rights? Because that's the first question at law. So we must be mindful of that. They are public servants, and they, they're subject to the laws and the Constitution and the treaties. So all of those things is relevant. You have to send them or notice them after the questions, and I know that's what the more talking about, the avament of jurisdiction, the court warranto document. You create a paper trail that way. You could send them a court warranto, then you get them in default, and then you lien them, then you levy them, then you bond them. That all falls under the lines of what? Reorganization, right? Yeah. Dealing with the Bankruptcy Act. Yeah. So that's what we're doing with them. That's what this whole process is all about. Elimination, right? And exposure, right?
Absolutely.
I yield.
That's a great explanation of the process that we've placed on the public record with the liens, levy, and bond. That is actually what corporations were doing in the 70s and 80s when they were doing corporate takeovers. It's the same process. Lien, levy, and then bond, and then take over. That's the takeover.
And they were claiming to acquire the debt of the corporation. Well, they had no more ability to acquire the debt than the company that was supposedly in debt, because they had no real money.
Thank you.
So they were acquiring fake debt with fake money.
Yes.
So that's why our process is so much more powerful, because we got the actual land assets, the gold and silver, back in our sovereign area.
Yes. We have real money that can actually move things.
And we can actually forgive that old debt, okay?
Yeah.
We
just 1099 it. We 1099-C. We cancel it.
Yeah, cancel it. because we, as the creditors, we have the authority to do so.
Yes.
Especially under the foreclosure. The
Yes.
creditor has the right of possession.
Yes. So now there's no reason for anyone to not have a domicile.
Exactly. But you got to learn the process.
Yes, and it's okay. Let's learn it. Let's get it. You know, our ancestors have been generous with us in giving us the information step by step by step. Okay, let's keep moving forward and putting those steps together. Islam. It's a wrap, but we got the process. It's a matter of just simply demonstrating it further. Islam. Are there any other questions, comments, wisdom from this amazing and grand Congress?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, sister.
Tell us what your other two processes was that you do.
Regarding what, Empress?
Asking the name first and then
the other two questions.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I will be happy to share that information. The first question is, what is your name? The next question is, do you understand that no United States corporation, company, citizen, nor their agents, principals, heirs, assigns, nor any derivatives thereof has personam jurisdiction over the Moors? Do you understand that? I make sure that they answer that one. And then, do you understand, and this one is actually they're all important, but this one is the spiritual question. Do you understand that you are hereby bound by the Constitution for the United States, 1789, 1791, and any others that we create? Do you understand that? Because, see, when you talk about binding and loosing, that's a spiritual, and that's the information that's actually on their bonds. They had a binding of everyone on those bonds of the dead. If you go back and read their bonds, their bond process, they have it where everyone is bound together and is into perpetuity bound together to the debt. So the scripture says, and we can say it in other languages, in Latin, but we'll state it in English. Whatsoever we bind on earth is bound in heaven, and whatsoever we loose on earth is loosed in heaven. That scripture is also stated in the Unum Sanctum policy that was given out by the popes of Rome, quote unquote, in their enactment. So it's very powerful. Those are the three. Name, no United States corporation, company, agent, principal, heir, assign, nor any derivative thereof has personam jurisdiction over the Moors. And the third one is the Constitution. They're bound by the Constitution. Do they understand? And we always say, do you understand? Because when they agree to understand, which I've had them do it many times, that means they stand under our authority.
Okay.
Islam.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You're welcome, Empress. Thank you for that question.
Islam.
Islam nobility.
I just want to salute everyone for standing tall on this conference. Very powerful conference this is. It's your conference. It's your round table. We come here to settle the score.
Islam.
We come here to uplift each other, to inspire each other. And just because we're a tribe, we're a clan. We're from all over the planet. And I just want to bow and salute to all of you, all of the Allahs, the female and the male Allahs. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And thank you, Sister Light, for your inspiration and your knowledge that you share with everybody. Islam.
Islam. Noble Howard, I receive the honor, and I also give the honor as well right back to you for your strength. Your strength is refreshing. You and your brother Earl, very refreshing. And we appreciate you, just so that you're aware of that. This entire I don't represent anyone, but we appreciate you. Islam. This Congress is very powerful. We affirm that We know that. We know that it is by this Congress, with the openness of it, because everyone can be a part of, everyone is already a part of Congress. All Moors are a part of Congress. Our subjects are a part of Congress. So we're just grateful that our ancestors have given us the unity that we have, and that and the stick-to-itiveness to keep going. We've already won. It's a wrap. With that being stated, peace and grand rising to the sovereign, original, indigenous, natural divine heirs. We'll see you on Thursday at 7 p.m. Islam.
Prophet Noble. Gratitude. Thank you for my erudition. The Prophet
Islam Moors. Islam. Grand Rising.
Islam. Indeed. Islam.
Woman left to all.
Islam.